Neo, what's up, man? How you doing today?
I'm well, thank you, my friend, and yourself.
I'm doing amazing. How would you explain to someone who you are and what you do if someone doesn't know you?
So I'm Neo Rennie, and who I am is Neo Rennie. I couldn't explain myself more than just saying my name. You know, my name holds enough weight in its own right. But what I do is I run the Undeniable project, and my main thing is content. I really enjoy content, helping people through said content. But then my business on the back end of that is the Undeniable project, which is essentially a mental boot camp to enable people to truly realize their potential in a way that they carry with them indefinitely. It's not
Mm.
just simple coaching offer. It's not just simply mentoring and guidance and lecturing. It's not about consuming. It's about actually interacting with the client, holding them accountable in a way that they've never been held accountable before,
Mm.
helping them still discipline themselves that they've never realized they could. And throughout all these little systems, these little tools, assets we give them, it helps them to realize what they are truly capable of. So even after the undeniable project, they can always have this thing to relate back to in the back of their mind of, okay, I'm capable of doing this. So the one sentence that I've always used to describe what we do and what I do myself is I help men and I help people to live up to their true potential.
Mm. I want to get into all of that later on, but I want to start from a complete beginning. How did you grow up? Where you grew up in the UK, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So I grew up in Milton Keynes. It's a small town, not too far from London. Shit place, terrible. If you're ever in the UK, I wouldn't really advise going there. But if you ever wanted to, you know, it wouldn't be very exciting. So I grew up there, and I was never an academic person. I was never someone that stood out by any means. I was always someone that I blended into crowds. No one really gave me the time of day. I was a very small thing. I mean, up until I was about even 14, 15, I was probably about 5 foot and about 50 kilos. I was just this little
Mm.
small kid, square glass in the back of the class, and no one really paid much mind to. And when I was 15 years old, I ended up going into psychiatric hospital, right? A year or two prior to this, I started to get involved with the wrong crowd. I started, allegedly selling drugs here and there. I started spending time with the wrong people. And then when I went into the psychiatric hospital, that was a pivotal turning point in my life. That was honestly, if I were to look at the whole timeline of everything that led up to where I am today, that was the moment. And I'm sure there's a lot more we could get into regarding that because I was in multiple. However, that for me, if I were to try and explain my story to everyone, if I was trying to explain my timeline, my upbringing, my parents within their own individual aspects, they're great people, they're lovely people, but they have their own challenges. And they split up when I was 3 years old. It wasn't the most picture perfect family environment. It wasn't the most ideal household. And then obviously being around the wrong people and whatever else, that was all something within its own self. But this moment here, this moment being in hospital was a turning point. It was the definitive moment in my life that the trajectory ended up changing. I ended up becoming the person I am today. So if I were to try and explain my timeline to people, try and explain where I come from, this stuff all matters. This stuff plays a part, but this stuff here is the single-handedly most important experiences that ever happened within my life.
Mm. Holy shit. Whenever I speak to someone from the UK, they always somehow mention drugs. Either they took them or they were around people who did, etc. Especially in the nightlife. Is that like very common in the UK?
It's very common. It's something that's very normalized. Especially if you come from an area which isn't, really if you come from an area that isn't really well established and isn't loads of
Mm.
people that come from rich or nice families, it is very common. It's very easy to get hold of drugs. You'll know a lot of people that are drug dealers, whether you know them personally or not.
Mm.
You'll know people. I knew a lot of these people personally, and hence that's how I got involved in it myself. But it's not something which is hard to find. It's not something you don't know about. Oh yeah, so and so he just sells drugs, or so and so yeah he's just in a gang. Yeah, that's what it is. Because
Mm.
not so much now as it was before. But back when I was a little bit younger, we're talking like 2015, 16, 17, 18, there was a massive gang culture in the UK. And it's kind
Mm.
of it's dispersed a bit now. Like it's not as bad now as it was before because the police in the UK are trying to make an example of these people. They're giving them heavy sentences for little to no reason, just for affiliation or association. But back then, the UK, and I'm sure if there's anyone watching this that are from areas like London, maybe you're from South London, maybe you're from North London. If you're from an area that has poverty in the UK and you're not in the nicest of areas, you will recognize how incredibly common it is, how normalized it is, and
Mm.
it's one of the things where I never really realized how monumentally different that can be from other parts of the world until I explored, until I started speaking to other people from other
Mm.
parts of the world, and where I realized, oh, you know what? Knowing people that have got stabbed or shot out or gone to prison or sold drugs, that's not actually overly normal. Not a lot of people from other environments know many people like that, you know? But like, I've had my own stories as well where I've been attacked with a knife before. I carry the scars from that to this day. I've been
Mm.
robbed before. I've been jumped before. This type of stuff, it's not inherently normal, so to speak. None of that shit is
Mm.
ever normal. But it's something where it's like, okay, well, it's not like really abnormal. Like, say for example, you were to go to Dubai, right, and you get your head kicked in and someone robs you for your watch. That's abnormal. You're still gonna think like, what
Mm.
the fuck? But that's not normal. But if it happens in the UK, yes, it's still, oh my god, this happened to me. But it's
Yeah.
also like, once more, I live in the UK, don't I? So
Yeah.
it's one of them things.
Jeez, oh, that's crazy. I feel like I'm in the middle of these both. Like I'm in the middle of Europe and Czech Republic right now. I'm moving, but yeah, it's like literally, it's 50-50. It depends like which city you go to. But I feel like most people that go come from the UK are hardened. Like
Yeah.
they're not really scared of going anywhere else because they're like, well, it can't be more dangerous than the UK, right? If you're from a city like that, you know?
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that's a really good point to make. It's one of them things where it's like, from the environments that I've come from, the people that I've known, the things that I've seen, when I'm in places like this and I meet people from all walks of life, I don't see them as any different to me in a sense. But when I'm interacting with these people, I just kind of have this knowing in the back of my head of, I'm not ignoring the fact that some of these people could have potentially been through these environments, been through even worse situations. I don't doubt some people I've met have. But in the back of my mind, I always have this feeling of like, I've come from a really dark place. The UK in itself, this isn't me speaking down the UK. I think it's an amazing place in its own way. It has its own beauty. It has its own, sense of pride that you get from being from the UK. A lot of English people I meet, especially in other countries, they're very prideful. However, it is one of those things where it's like, I have this knowing that I wouldn't inherently say I survived the UK. I've heard other people use that terminology before, because a lot of people that are in the UK, it's another thing as well, where even if we look past any physical danger, any things to do with crime or things like that, in the UK, it's a very bad-minded place, right? A lot of people that come out of the UK, as you're saying, they're hardened, and they are a lot more, in my
Mm.
experience anyway, they're a lot more cautious and defensive. I know that I always feel like someone has some type of hidden agenda when they're trying to come to me or they're trying to
Mm.
be nice in some ways, because that's what the UK is like. People are bad-minded. People have bad intentions. I'm not saying people that have bad intentions from other places in the world. However, in the UK, it's this environment where a lot of people are miserable. A lot of people then project that onto others, and then that enables anyone that grows up in the UK to develop these walls. They develop this tolerance to external stressors outside of the UK, because they feel like, what, if I've been in the UK and I've gone through all that and now I'm here in this lovely environment, I can do anything. It's the same way here.
Mm.
I don't ever feel, obviously, don't get me wrong, Vietnam is a very safe country, but I never feel in danger because I just feel like I come from a place that is naturally dodgy anyway. The UK, it
Mm.
doesn't even, at night as well, it's not the most beautiful of places. If you were to walk through, council estates in London, for example, not in central London where it's really popular, in the external areas, you are not going to be safe. It's not like on every street corner someone's going to attack you. No, that's not the case. But
Mm.
you're not going to be walking them streets feeling comfortable. I walk streets in countries like here, in other countries in Europe, and I feel safe because it's like, well, I come from the UK. This place is way better.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things where I completely agree with you there. I've also met a lot of people, and they have this certain way about them. They have this certain way they
Yeah.
perceive the world because of what they've grown out of. And I've always said as well, in the UK, there's this really good artist in the UK. If you've never heard of him, Nines, you need to listen to Nines. He's great, right? But he pushes this motto, and it's, the UK has a crabs in the bucket mentality, right? Well, if you put 10 crabs in
Mm.
a bucket and one tries to climb out, they'll pull each other down. That is exactly what the UK is like. So
Yeah.
every single person that gets out, they become this defensive, guarded person. It's something that most people need to work through. Some people are doing really well and they've come from the UK and they're really open to new ideas. They're open to talking to people. It's something that I recognize that I need to continue working on myself. So,
Mm.
once more, I would reiterate that that is a very good point. It's something that is, from what I've noticed anyway, it's been a recurring theme with a lot of people that I've spoke to actually from the UK.
Yeah. I remember like I always wanted to go to London, and now it's like it doesn't really intrigue me that much as it used to before, just from what I've seen on the internet. Maybe it's completely different in real life, right? But it's like London 10 years ago just seemed like the one of the dream big cities, like in the top five. And now it just has a different like vibe towards it. Like I've seen a lot of videos where like Christians get arrested or get a fine for praying in public, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like for what the fuck?
It's it's insane. I think the UK it's in a position right now where on the crime and things outside of things, people don't
Mm,
fear the police. They don't fear the government. They don't fear the consequences. They go into
mm,
prison. They get out in one third of their sentence, and so a lot of these people they feel like they can just do what they want because prison here as well. It's kind of like I've always described it's like a holiday camp with a lot of your friends. You can have a little TV. They get weed, they get cigarettes, their phones. Obviously, this is stuff they sneak in, but and then the other side of that as well. I'm not going to get too into this political side of things, but with the UK allowing people to immigrate from other countries, it has led
mm,
to this issue where now we have a large contingency of the UK population that don't feel like they feel at home in their country. You know,
mm,
I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but the the difference in population percentages with people that are from the UK initially and people that have immigrated here from other countries, you have this side of people and they don't feel happy with that. And they don't feel happy with that because the UK doesn't feel as patriotic as it once did, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Because the UK
mm,
doesn't feel like home for a lot of people in the way it did. I wouldn't say I have an overly strong opinion on this. However, I do believe that the UK has a big problem with homelessness of UK citizens and veterans. It has
mm,
a it's very difficult to find jobs. I'm not saying any people are taking jobs. I'm not one of them people, but that's a factor. It's also really hard to
mm,
find accommodation at a good price at that. So then, because you have these two opposing sides, people that are from these other places, people that are originally from the UK and are very patriotic, we have this conflict. And what that has led to has the government and the police, they don't want to be against this side, which is people from other countries, people they're trying to be inclusive to.
mm,
So people that are Christians, people that are protesting because they want to make England England again. It's not because it's coming from a place of we don't like these people or we hate these people. Some of them might. I can't speak for every single person. However, because these people are so passionate about we want our country to feel our country, the police can't just choose this side because then they'll be told that they're pushing an agenda which is we don't like
mm,
these people that are coming from other countries that support other religions. So then what are they doing? They're turning their attention to criticizing these people, to arresting
mm,
these people for rioting and protesting. Not rioting, wrong choice of words. For protesting, for standing up for what they believe in. The police are now having to push back against its own UK citizens just
mm,
because they don't want to be seen like they're opposing this side of people.
mm.
It's a crazy time, genuinely, especially for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a young man. I'm not someone that's in my 30s, 40s that's been here for a very long time. However,
Mm,
I do know that the UK does feel very different from what it used to be. It's like if you look at a street in London and a street in Poland, right? This is nothing to do with race or the color of your skin, but if you look
mm.
at a street in Poland or anything like that, it's loads of Polish and white people.
Yeah.
The majority. But in the UK, it's the polar opposite. You get a few white people. You get a lot of schools where there's maybe five
Yeah.
white kids in a class. And I'm not saying it's anything to do with these people with their skin color, it's their problem. No, these are still people. If they need a home, they need a home. But at the end of the day, the problem comes from the percentage of these people being so much higher than the percentage of these people.
Yeah.
The UK doesn't feel like the UK, and the only way to fix this problem now would be to say, right, all of you get out, and we can't do that because some of them have come here, they've started businesses, they've started families, they've got homes, so we can't just do that. So the UK is now in this crisis where it's like, okay, we
Mm,
have these two opposing sides. These people get angry at these people. The people that are successful or that are doing well for themselves in the UK, all of them are fleeing. I'm sure you understand. There are so many
mm,
people I know that as soon as they make money in the UK, they get up and go.
And also, is there an exit tax? I heard about that. Like, you have to pay money to leave the UK.
I hope not, because I've not paid it. You know, so no idea, but I truly hope not. Truly hope not.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy that you mentioned Poland because I was just there last month because I'm moving there. I'm moving to Warsaw in 3 weeks from now. And man, when I walked there, I haven't seen in those few days that I was there, I haven't seen a single black person. Like literally, we were like walking through the fucking city. We were going to the gym. We were going to sparring. Then we were going to restaurants. I've seen a few like gypsies, but not a single like black person. You know, like that's like interesting. And also the streets are clear. You don't see fucking cigarettes everywhere. You don't see fucking random cans everywhere. The recycle bins aren't like absolutely filled to the top. Like people are taking care of the city for some reason.
Completely. It's one of the things where it's like I didn't even realize this contrast until my dad shares the same political views as me, right? In regards to the UK should be kept feeling like the UK. Not that we hate these people, get them out. It's not that. But the UK needs to feel patriotic. It needs to feel like the UK. You should feel proud to say you're from England.
Yeah.
Not, yeah, the UK's nice, but it's a shithole now, so I left. You know? And he sent me a video when he visited Poland. And he did a 360, and he spun around in a circle, and he said, look, every single person here is white, and it wasn't because, you know, we don't want black people here. It's because look how Polish this place is. Poland feels like Poland. You walk down the street in the UK, and you get people from all races, all walks of life. Lovely, you know. Let's be inclusive. However, what about us? What about the people that this is meant to feel like our homes? You know. So it's just, I think a lot of the people, their anger and their resentment and some of these people are channeling it in the wrong way. Some of these people are allowing it to bleed into just blatant racism, which is not something that I'm promoting. I'm not saying that's the agenda we should push. However, the people that are using their anger to stand up for what is right to the government and not just use it to project onto immigrants, just project onto people from other races. The people that are channeling this anger and this passion towards the UK being the UK, and they're actually trying to speak to the governments, they're trying to do peaceful protests. That is what I stand for. That is what I believe in, because the UK should never feel like any other country but the UK.
Yeah, I feel like no matter what country we're talking about, the natives always should have a priority. It doesn't matter what country you're in. I'm absolutely okay with that. Like, I'm moving to Poland, but it's like I understand that I like the Polish people have a priority over me, which is like absolutely understandable, right? I absolutely understand that if I meet a girl and her dad wants her to date a Polish guy, I'm like, I mean, I can't really blame him for that, but it's like, if she's an adult, of course, then, yeah. But also, when we were there and we were speaking in English, we saw a lot of, like, head turnings, a lot of, like, old people, like, looking at us, like, weird. And it's like, yeah, you know what, this country, although it's a little bit, like, discriminative, I like that, you know, even if I'm just a guest there, I still like that, because I feel like I know what to expect from those types of people, you know? It's like, a Polish man is not just gonna come and rob you for no reason, you know what I mean? Whereas if you have people from 50 different countries, you don't know.
Completely. It's like one of them things where it's like, you know, the UK is a place where a lot of people have found access to illegally immigrate to the UK. And I'm not saying that every person that comes in the UK is a criminal or has done bad things or is coming to do bad things. However, there is a large contingency of people that have came here without the proper, you know, means of processing themselves, without the proper documentation. And that has led to a large influx of crime from unaccounted people because of a byproduct of this. Because, you know, we have companies in the UK and externally in the borders of France that are helping people to cross the channel. There are actually companies that have set up warehouses and little camps on either side of the channel to teach people how to safely cross, to give them the boats and all the resources they need. You know, and if you don't think that part of this is being supported by the UK government, then you are so incredibly wrong. You know, and it's scary. It's so scary because the UK, I'm not saying it would be a completely safe place if it was 100% UK citizens whatsoever. Don't get me wrong, there are so many sickos here. However, if you don't think that this stuff is also contributing to the problem, then you would be being misled in that thought.
Yeah. I want to ask you, who did you look up to as a kid? You know, it's like, did you have like a maybe YouTuber that you were looking up to, that maybe someone that inspired your entrepreneurship journey, who you were looking up to, maybe even later in life, like in your like 16, 17, 18.
So when I was a younger kid, my and my dad's relationship was nowhere near as strong as it is now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my dad, it's not that he's not an inspiring person, or it's not that I don't look up to him immensely now, but our relationship was never as strong when I was younger. So when I was younger, I didn't really have that in a sense. You know, the people that I looked up to were people that were older members of, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the people that I spent time with, the people that were selling drugs, the people that were doing bad things, because I looked
Yeah.
at people as they make a lot of money, you know, they get women,
Mm.
you know, I want to be like these people. And that was obviously a very flawed way of thinking that I didn't recognize until I got older, right? But then as I got a little bit older and when I came out of psychiatric wards, obviously went in at 15, at 17 years old, when I finally came out for the last time, I started consuming a lot of content online. I started listening to a lot of Andrew Tate, Iman Gardzi, you know, people that shared strong values around traditional masculinity, what being a man should look like. And I completely and utterly immersed myself in their way of thinking. Not because I'm some Andrew Tate wannabe who wants 15 hoes and wants whatever else, you know, not because I want hundreds of millions like Iman Gardzi, but because I related to the way that they talked about how they feel about themselves. I wanted to feel how they feel. I went from years and years of resenting the person I was to suddenly I was hearing these people that spoke about themselves and the life they live with so much conviction that I wanted that for myself. So I started consuming this content. I started listening to as much as I could. I started, you know, trying to understand what they were doing. And that's what led to my first online business, which was a marketing agency. You know, and that was, you know, from Iman Gardzi's course. I remember I started watching his free YouTube videos, his free assets online, got my first paying client, invested £1,000 into this course. My marketing agency never went any further than £4,000 or £5,000 a month, and then I absolutely blew it to shit because I spent all the money, stopped working on the business, and I realized I actually hate this. I don't want to do this. But that for me was the first. Okay, you know what? I wouldn't inherently say I look up to these people, but these are people. They've given me a sense of what I want from myself. So I'd say that plays a massive factor. And Andrew Tate himself, whether you love him or hate him, there are points of him that I have carried with me to this day. Complete and utter conviction and belief within himself. I never used to believe in myself.
Mm.
I never had conviction in the words I was saying. I've learned to develop that through the way that he communicates his own thoughts and his own beliefs. You know, about how you should work very, very hard, about how this stage of your life, if you're a young man, is not about pleasure, it's not about fun. If I didn't have these values and beliefs instilled in me in a time where I had no friends, I had no one to talk to, I'd come out of hospital, I had no education, no qualifications, I was working as a chef, I was lost, I was
Mm.
smoking weed all the time. If I didn't have, you know, listening to these guys talking about exactly what they've got out of life, then I'd be lost. Another really big one as well is Jack Hopkins, right? Even now, up
Jack,
till
yeah.
right? I had a very brief conversation with him the other day, and he answered one of my questions on a podcast of his, right? And this question was me basically explaining to him, you know, I've wanted to help people for such a long time, and I've been helping people behind the scenes, but I don't know how to market that without being a life coach. And for years and years, I watched his content. You know, when I was going through this phase, when I was 17 years old, fresh out of a psych ward, you know, nearly 3 years ago now, I was hearing about how he went to Thailand, about how he started creating content, about how he decided that he wanted to help other people. And I always thought that was cool as fuck. I'd always watch his videos. I'd always make sure that I was taking notes on them, paying attention. And then we had this conversation a few weeks back. And in this conversation, he said to me, if you don't want to be a life coach, don't be a life coach. Just help people live up to their potential.
Mm.
And this was a small segment from him talking for maybe a few minutes. But my brain clung on to this. So I were to say, if there were anyone that previously led to me looking up to them and being an inspiration to me and whatever else, it would be these three people. But now
Mm-hmm.
the final point I want to make is the point I'm at now and the relationship him and I have now and the person that he's become and the stuff that I've seen as I've got older, my dad has become an inspiration to me more than I could have ever fathomed that he would be. When I was
Mm.
younger and I essentially had, weak masculine beliefs, right? And me and him didn't see each other often because him and my mum split up. You know, there were so many things in the way. But as I got older and as I got to 18, 19 years old, my dad, for the record, he's a really big muscular man. He talks a lot about traditional masculinity, stuff like that. in essence, a strong masculine man, right? And as I got older, I started to see myself in him more. I started to go to him for advice when I never would even talk to him about things that were going on in my life beforehand. And I started to recognize all these things that played into why his and I's relationship was as weak as it was when I was younger. And now, I actually just posted a YouTube video the other day. We were on call for 30, 35 minutes or so, and I was teaching him how to start his own coaching offer and how to build up his own Instagram page because he saw what I'm doing. He was inspired by that. And he's 51 years old, and he had enough humility to sit there and listen to me and take advice from me and take guidance from me as to how we can build his own offer. That for me has gained so much fucking respect from him. And I look up to these people, sure. And they instilled so much strong values in me and a strong sense of direction in me that I wouldn't have had if I didn't listen to what they were pushing online. But if I respected anyone in this world, it would be my dad. There's no one that I respect more. There's no one that I feel like I can look up to in the way that I can look up to him.
Yeah. Holy shit, I agree with that a lot. The more you grow as a man, you just like start appreciating more stuff that your dad did for you. It's like for me when my dad moved from Romania to Czech Republic to a country that he didn't even speak the language, and he somehow made it work here and bought a house. It's like I don't know if I could be capable of doing that at 27 with what he was, right? It's like that's something that, it's like he sacrificed so much. But you know what? I really hate when a lot of like, usually it's like 15, 16-year-olds, right? But it's like they say, my parents don't believe in me. And I'm like, how much money have you made online? A few $100. I'm like, okay, so you can't even sustain yourself. If they threw you out on the streets, you would be homeless, and you're the one dependent on them, and you want them to believe in something that they've never saw work before, because in their world, like making money online, they don't see it as real because they've never done it, right? They never saw it at anyone in their lives. So of course you need to lead by example. But until then, be respectful and shut the fuck up, bro. It's like, don't expect your parents to believe in you if you haven't shown proof of concept before.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is such a good point you make, because funny enough, my dad and I, when our relationship started strengthening, and he was seeing that I was trying these different things, and I was going from business model to business model, he showed a little bit of belief in me, a little bit of faith in me. But a small part of me recognized that he didn't have this level of belief in me, right? And I remember when I first started doing what I do before I do now, which is I started appointment setting, right? I was working for these people, and they were helping train me, they're helping give me whatever guidance I needed. I remember explaining it to him, and he said to me, the long story short of it is, he thought it was a scam, and he essentially thought that I was going to be wasting my time, right? But then I had this thought in the back of my head of, you know what? I don't care about anyone else's opinions. At least up until I had that moment where I went into a psych ward and I lost everyone, I stopped caring. Since them psych wards, I haven't given a fuck about what anyone thinks or says. Why should I start now? So I said, look, Dad, I'll be honest with you. I respect you and I appreciate what you have to say, but I don't need your opinion. I don't want your opinion because it's infectious. I said this in a much more respectful way than I just communicated it then. But funny enough, I moved out here, and when I had my first really good week, it was $4,500 in 1 week, and I told him about it. And what my dad said to me is, he said, look, I'll be honest with you, mate. I didn't believe in you when you first started telling me about this. I didn't think that you'd be able to do it, but you've done it, and I'm really proud of you. And I'm telling people at work how well you're doing. I'm showing them your Instagram, and I'm so proud of you for that. And I'm so incredibly glad that I didn't give a fuck what he said previously.
Yeah.
Because it could have enabled me to, harbor a sense of resentment to him. It could have, made me feel deterred about my own journey. But no, I knew who I was. I knew what I wanted out of life. And I also recognized what you're saying, which is his reality is he's a 51-year-old man that his whole life has had to work hard for a few £1,000s a month. His whole life he's had to show up, and he's a truck driver. It's a hard job. He works very long hours, very long hours consistently every single day without fail. He is a hard-working man. And it's like, even my mum, she never used to believe me. She was a waitress. For a large amount of her life, she was a single mum who was a waitress, who put in so many hours for so little reward. So both of these people, I cannot blame them for having the beliefs they had. I cannot blame them for not being able to have the same level of conviction in my abilities and in what I'm doing as I
Mm-hmm.
did, you know? So I ignored it. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad I did, because when I recognized that, okay, they're just looking at this through their lens, they have a different lens on the world,
Yeah.
they have a different perspective. And when I actually recognized that, I was able to actually see, okay, they're not saying this because they don't like me. They're not saying this because they resent me or they don't want to believe in me. They're saying this because their whole life they've been conditioned to believe
Yeah.
something that is completely different to what I believe. So I'm not going to hate them for that. I'm not going to resent them for that. I'm just going to show up every single day and I'm going to prove them wrong. And I have. And now they're both proud of me. My mum's constantly posting my stuff on her Instagram story, telling people, look what my son's doing. Send me a message, send me she's proud of me. And that means a lot because, once more, hers and I's relationship used to be awful as well. Awful, and now it's strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fuck out of both my parents now, and they love the fuck out of me. And our relationship has never been this good, all because I ignored their opinions. I respected that it was coming from a place of love, and I understood that it wasn't coming from them trying to talk shit on me. It was coming because their brains have been conditioned in a different way than mine has. And then
Yeah.
now that I have, I'm not exactly the man I want to be. I'm not exactly where I want to be. I've got a long way to go. But now that there is some tangible proof that I'm on my way to being that person, they can respect that I didn't listen. They can understand that because I didn't listen, I am now in the position I am today. And our relationships have never been stronger because I believed in myself and I didn't resent them for not believing in me.
Yeah, and the only successful businesses they ever saw were physical. So of course that this is something new that they haven't seen. If they haven't seen it work to anyone in their lives or never met anyone, so it's like you can't expect them at this age to start like think that's real until you prove them, right? But I do think that your parents not believing in you is not necessarily a bad thing. I think that that is one of the tests. I believe that God is just literally testing you, like, will you continue even though you're the only one who's believing in it? Like, if you had some emotional pain along the way, it's that progress will feel so much better because you know that how proving everybody wrong is gonna feel also, and also knowing how much pain you have to go through. That's like the thing that makes the progress and the success so much better is when you can show everybody they were right, and then you can prove to yourself that you can believe in the thing even if everybody doesn't. And even if everybody tells you you're wasting your time but you're the only one who believe it, you might just be right.
I completely agree with you. Whatever you believe is true. If you believe you can do something, you can. If you believe you can't do something, then you also can't. It's
Yeah.
one of them things where it's like I've been through so much pain and turbulence within my life that has enabled me to be the person I can be. And every single one of them was a challenge from God. It was a challenge to see if I was worthy of becoming the man that I am today. And every single challenge I'm going to face from here on out is also just another step along the way. Every single time I overcome a problem or someone not believing in me or a painful comment or whatever else, I just see it as, okay, this is just another step in the journey to becoming the person I want to be. This is just another challenge
Yeah.
I need to overcome. But I think so many people, they feel like, oh, this is the end of the world. And they allow themselves to suffer in imagination way more than in reality. And they allow themselves, to feel deterred by it, have this sense of doubt grow like an infection within their brain. But if you can just see it as a challenge, and you can just see it as, okay, well, this is happening because of this, and you see the logic behind it, and you understand, okay, well, I know that I want to be this person. So it doesn't matter what happens here. It doesn't matter who doesn't believe in me. It doesn't matter what pain I go through. It doesn't matter who says what. If my girl breaks up with me, if my friends cut me off, it does not matter what I go through because they are all small testaments to the man that I know I'm going to become.
Yeah, I remember, bro. My first hate comment, bro. It's like I thought that I wouldn't budge me. But I thought about it for like a few hours. It's like it was about someone said I have skinny neck, right, and called me a fucking pencil neck. And to be truthful, that was true. Like I'm still working on it. Like my neck is still fairly skinny, but I'm still working on it at least. But it's like holy shit, I would have never started working on my neck unless like somebody called me out on it. But like, yeah, that guy was looking for something. But it's like now it's like I've gotten a few more hate comments, and it's like I'm a little bit desensitized to it than what I was before that. Also, you know what I find it that a lot of people will DM you just something hateful. They don't comment it. A lot of people, like if you look at my Instagram, I don't have that many hate comments, but a lot of hate DMs. I don't know why.
It's it's a weird one, but it's one of the things as well where it's like, as you're saying, you build up a tolerance to it. I've
Mm.
had so many hate comments. I even have people telling me now, like, I posted this video where it was a job interview. I landed a 4 to 7K per month sales role. On
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, it got like 100 something thousand views, but on Instagram, it got like 20,000. I had a few people commenting stuff like, you need to stop using as many words. You're speaking too fast. Well, I got the job. I earned money from the job. He fucking loved me. It's a 2 minute clip from a 2 hour sales call. I
Mm-hmm.
understand the logic behind it. I understand that their comments are they're just petty. They don't make any sense. But I feel like as well, with what you're saying, so many people, they allow this to get to them. But
Mm.
I think the most important thing to do in times like this is just to constantly understand that once more, okay, this is a challenge, and ultimately, the more hate comments I receive, one, the more sign it is that you're out there. It's better to be hated on than not known at all.
Yeah.
But also, the logic behind every single one is, why would this person leave this comment? Did it make
Yeah.
them feel uncomfortable within themselves? Did they feel like, did they feel that maybe they were envious? Maybe that they didn't like to see that you were winning.
Or a lot of people have just been like sexually abused in the past and they're just sticking out, bro. It's like, bro, like, come on,
Did
like it's that person. You should feel sorry for them. And also, I disagree with people like leaving from pain or trying to run away from pain. It's like, bro, don't just turn off your comments or cower away from it. It's like, let them come, or like literally like look at that for a few minutes and just like let it sting, let it
Yeah.
be uncomfortable, like, just think about it for a few
Yeah.
minutes. Even if there is some truth to that or not, a lot of these people are stupid as fuck, but there will be some
Yeah.
fair criticism. I don't know if you know John Mark Stevenson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. In the DMs, bro, he cooked me on my content. But it's like, holy shit,
Oh
I made
Lord.
some improvements ever since then. And
Yeah.
bro, you were literally like, when I saw that last message, which was, "Are you mentally okay?" Bro, that hurt a little bit because I looked up to this guy and I still look up to him, and I've been watching him
Yeah.
for like a year and a half, like in the early
Yeah.
days when he was making like 10, 15K a month, and now he's like half a million a month. It hurt
Yeah.
me, but it's like he's right. He was right,
Yeah.
bro. Like, that's something like when someone that you look up to, fucking
Mm.
calls you out, you take it so much more seriously than where it's just a
Yeah.
random person with no profile picture.
100%. I completely agree with you. I've been in a similar position before, and it's like, I try and preach this in my content. It's whenever you feel like someone's insulting you or they're criticizing you, I always try and encourage people to look at it through the lens of why that
Mm,
person's saying what they're saying. Was he saying that to you because he wanted you to go away and feel shit about yourself, or was he saying it to you because you wanted to
mm,
be better? And I'm sure you can recognize it's because he probably wanted you to try and improve. He wanted you to
yeah,
challenge your own beliefs, and eventually that has happened, and you still look up to him, and you've improved on your own
yeah,
content. But there's a clear distinction between people that just have miserable lives, and they're fat, they're lazy, they've got nothing going for them, and people that are doing all right for themselves, and they're not saying it because they're an ego-fueled prick. You get some of them. Some of
yeah,
them do exist. Successful people that just have massive egos and they're cunts. You get some of them people, but you also get some people that maybe they're more successful than you, and they may say it in a blunt way, in a way that's really direct and maybe is a little bit harsh. However, it's coming from the lens of, okay, well, this would help this person. If they can see it not through their own ego, and they can see, okay, well, he's saying this to me because he wants to help me improve on this, then it opens up a world of improvement, and it's really good that you found that, because quite a lot of people never do.
yeah. Really, I just appreciate that he even took the time to like give me some feedback on my content. I'm like,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
even pay him. It's like, holy shit, this
yeah.
man took like 5 minutes to just tell me like what the fuck do I need to do. It's like I just actually thanked him in the message, right? So yeah, that was a wake up call for me. I
I can
wanted to
imagine.
I want to ask you, did you work many 9 to 5s when you were younger? Many jobs?
So fucking so many. So as soon as I turned 16, I obviously I got no GCSEs, no education, because I lost so much time when I was in school to
Mm,
psychiatric hospitals for mental health. I was already shit in school. Don't get me wrong. I have ADHD and autism, but I didn't know that at the time, so I couldn't focus. I couldn't put my
mm-hmm,
attention and energy into the stuff I needed to. I was always that guy that either didn't have a pen or just didn't do any work, or spent the whole time drawing in the back of the lesson. And I never understood why, but yeah, I just thought I was shit in school. So I had no GCSEs. So as soon as I turned 16, I started working as a chef full time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that was just a job that was easy for me to get. My mum helped me get it. She was a waitress at the restaurant. Being a chef, awful job, awful job, right? You're sweaty all the time. It's fast paced. Everyone's stressed out,
Mm.
right? Everyone's always angry all the time. There's so much pressure. If you can't just take a step away for 2 minutes, you have to constantly be on your toes working. However, it taught me, being able to stay calm under pressure.
Yeah.
It taught me how to work in actually a harsh work environment, because I realized I later had jobs where they were a lot more lax, a lot more chill. Like if I were to compare, for example, the work I do now, where I sit on my laptop, I can order food, I can put my
Yeah.
headphones on, I can do what I want to do, I can sit in bed and do it if I want to, compared to when I'm in a hot, sweaty kitchen wearing all chef blacks, long sleeve chef blacks, I'm sweating, there's open flames around me, so I'm really hot. There's it's an open restaurant so everyone can see me. I can't have headphones in. Most of the time you can't have music on. Can't go on your phones. If I even need to go to the toilet, I need to try and find someone to cover my section. You got orders coming in all the time, so you can't stop. That environment, it helped me a lot. But then after that, I went into another chef job, and I was a head chef at a steakhouse. I ended up losing that job shortly after because I had a conflict with someone else that worked there. But that was what it was. But then after that, I ended up getting a role in retail, right? And I was working at John Lewis department store. I'm not too sure if you have that in US potentially, but just this massive department store, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of doing behind the scenes stuff. I was going on the shop floor sometimes, but then they changed it to I had to start working on tills, and I had to start doing more customer service facing roles. And I just realized very quickly that, for one, being in these environments, these roles, I realized I have way too much potential to be in a setting like this where someone's having to go at me because their card won't give them the extra 5% discount they need. I'm stood there until some old lady shouting at me because the 5% discount wasn't applied. It's just like, love, I'm made for so much more than this. But throughout these jobs here, I was trying so many different businesses on the side. So many. I've tried so many different things, but these were my main jobs. And then one thing about John Lewis as well is in these chef jobs, it was very unstructured. All these people, they were people they're amazing people. They're hardworking people. They're great people, but they maybe didn't get qualifications. They're maybe in their late 20s and they still spend every evening smoking weed. They're people that generally don't have overly much direction. It's not once more that they're bad people. I met so many good people in this job. So many I'm still good friends with to this day, right? But a lot of these people, maybe they're just they travel for 6 months of the year and they just want a chef or a waitress job for the other time. Maybe they're at uni, they just want another job. But then being in a place like John Lewis, where it was very corporate in a sense of it reminded me of school. In school, the way that everyone's got these weird cliques, they're talking behind each other's backs. You have to present yourself in a certain way. And I just realized once more that I don't conform to any of these environments. I'm not this really, lax person that can do whatever. I'm not this person that is going to be talked to like I'm 5 years old or like someone's better than me, because I know they're not. So these jobs here, these are my main jobs, and they taught me so incredibly much. And obviously what I do now is vastly different from these, but chef, retail, and then I did some other freelance jobs, marketing, whatever else in the meantime for external businesses of my own, but obviously that was off my own accord. But yeah, these jobs, they took a good few years out of my life. Wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, bro. I used to work at Tesco, if you know what that is. You have that in the UK?
Yeah.
Bro, it was so shit, bro. Holy fuck.
So shit.
Bro, the Tesco's, they're mad if like you have a chewing gum in your mouth, or if you have an AirPod, just one, where it's like stupid shit like that.
Yes.
And I'm like, bro, that's like literally like no fucking fruity. I like think to myself, how grateful am I now, a while later, and it's like this morning I woke up at 4 a.m. I got some work done, right? I did the landing page for a client, so I made $70 there. And now I'm having this podcast with you, and after this I'm gonna go to the gym, and after this I'm gonna go look at my group chat, see if we have some thumbnails or some graphics that we need to do for a client. And it's like, holy shit! Like I could go to the gym at 1 p.m., I could go to the gym at 7 p.m., or I could go to the gym at 7 a.m. And it's like the fact that I get to choose. I feel like that job didn't teach me like something like a skill, but it taught me um gratefulness for where I'm at, you know? It's like that contrast so much. I'm just thinking to that. It's like I
Yeah,
appreciate the free schedule. It's like I appreciate
yeah.
that so much more now. And the fact that now I can move to Warsaw and back then I couldn't. I just couldn't afford it. Now I
Yeah.
can.
It's it's one of those things where you really need to experience something like that to be able to appreciate, what you can later attain later in life. Like for example,
Oh yeah.
if I never had these difficult jobs where both in their own rights were so restrictive, like obviously the chef job is more lax. I'm not gonna lie, quite a lot of the time I turn up to shifts high. I'd go smoke a joint in my break. Quite often I would sneakily put an AirPod in anyway, just
Yeah.
because you're not gonna tell me what to do. But they were still
Yeah.
strict in their own sense. It was physically demanding. You can't even sit down. And then this job, the one at John Lewis, it was very was more like school, as you're saying. No chewing gum. You have to
Mhm.
present yourself in a certain way. You can't even swear to your colleagues. What the fuck do you mean I can't
Yeah. Like
swear?
what the
You
fuck?
know, like I can't wear headphones. I can't go on my phone. I've got to sneak into a stock room and go on my
Yeah.
phone on the slide. What? And as well, like
You
when
have
I
to
was in this
ask
job
to
as
go
well,
to the toilet. Like
it's exactly it's crazy, and it's like I as a grown man, how am I doing this? And also as well, one thing that always really bugged me is in John Lewis in these chef jobs. Obviously, I've been trying to start and run multiple businesses this whole time over the course of the past 3 years, right? And of course,
mhm.
every single venture, I've learned something. I've made money. I've developed my sales skills, marketing skills, communication skills, whatever else. And then I would go into these jobs just to be treated like shit from a 35-year-old that is doing the exact same job and the exact same wage, but has been
Yeah.
there for 25 years. And that would really bug me because I'm not an egotistical person. But to have someone
Yeah.
that's doing the exact same job as me on the exact same wage, but they've been there for
Yeah.
25 years, which is longer than I've even been on this planet, and they're trying to talk down to me in a
Mm.
condescending way. I always just had this thought in my head of this isn't arrogance coming from a place of talking down other people. But in a sense, obviously, you need arrogance to succeed in life. And I had this arrogance in the back of my head of,
Yeah.
fuck you. I'm so much better than you. Fuck you. Who are you to talk to me like
Yeah.
that? Because I know what I'm capable of.
Yeah, you know what? I talked to on my first week there at Tesco. I remember I talked to a colleague, and he looked like he was like I don't know 25, 30 maybe. And I said, "How long have you been here?" Right, I've been there like for a few weeks, like 2, 3 weeks. And he said, since I was 18, so that's like 14, 15 years." And I'm like, "How the fuck do you start at
Right?
Tesco from 18
Yeah.
to fucking 33? How
Yeah.
the fuck? How?"
It's insane.
Yeah.
And it's like, another one things as well. What always it almost scared me. The fact that some people I would talk to, maybe they're 18, 19, 20, 21, doesn't matter, but they're younger. And they would tell
Yeah.
me, yeah, I'm trying to go for this management role. And then I'm trying to go for a supervisor. Then I want to be a manager. And then I want to be an area manager.
Yeah.
And it's like, you want to dedicate years of your life progressing to this company that doesn't give a fuck about you. I always say to people, right? This also applies to people that are in uni or college, unless you know what you want to do and you need a qualification. But it's like,
Mm.
why would you dedicate years of your life working towards a position in a company that doesn't care about you? Whereas if you were to put that exact time into yourself, your own businesses, your own life, your own self development, your
Hmm.
whole life would be so different. If I had decided back at TGI's, back when I was a chef, if I had decided to myself, I'm not
Mm.
going to try and change my life. 3 years down the line, today, where would I be? I might be a manager.
Yeah.
I might be earning 30, 40 grand a year, which is still pennies compared to what people I know now are making. I may be earning that bit of money. I may be doing all right, but what? To work 50 hours a week, to be treated like shit, to have managers still above me,
Yeah.
somehow from regional managers to people that are all the way in HR talking down on me. For what? Maybe I get a company car that's a 2025
Mm.
Lexus if I'm lucky. You know, what is the point? I never understood that
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, it's so weird, bro. Also, like, I remember, bro, like, even my fucking, I don't know, lunch breaks, I would maybe, like, go to the toilet and just, like, do outreach, try to find a new client,
Yeah,
right? So I can
same,
get the fuck out of
same.
this job. All I
Yeah,
needed was, like, I don't know, like, 6, 7, 800 bucks a month, like, close to 1,000 a month, and I
yeah,
could just leave.
yeah,
And I got there fairly within, like, 6 months. about that job,
Yeah.
which was a fucking long while to make $1,000 a month. But it's like I built a little. I had to build a portfolio and all of that, right? The thumbnails and the landing pages. But I as soon as I left that job, I just felt this relief. It's like
Mm.
I felt a little bit of stress because I have to keep the momentum going, so I don't have to go back there, or to any other job like that. But it's like, yeah, man, looking back at it now, I just feel gratefulness. That's all. I don't feel resentment towards those people, even though my boss was a fucking
Mhm.
bitch. Okay, that shit was fucking
Yeah.
horrible, bro. But yeah, I don't. I don't feel resentment towards those people
Yeah.
because I feel like they already don't like themselves. So it's like
Yeah.
it's like I understand why they act like that. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think it's the same as hate comments. Like they just don't really like
Ah,
themselves, and I don't resent any of the people. In fact, I'm very grateful that them jobs taught me what they taught me, but that was just never for me. I could just never do that.
yeah. If you say to someone, I know, like, let's say this guy's making 30K a month, and they say nobody makes that, you know already what type of person they are.
Yep.
Saying nobody makes that, yeah, okay. You already know that they're not that type of person to have an entrepreneurial mind or an open mind towards these things. Yeah, it's possible. They don't think that it's possible to make more than 3K a month, 5K a month. Because
Really?
that they just it's even young people. It's people, some guys my age, like 20 years old, 18 years old, right? I'm 18. So it's like some guys
Yeah.
close to my age still like say, bro, 10K a month, nobody makes that. Or like only
Yeah.
people born in
Yeah.
rich families make that. And I'm like, holy fuck. These people are
Yeah.
like they have the access to all of this, but they just close
Yeah.
their eyes to it.
I agree, and I think some of this it's just ignorance, right? Because what it is
Yeah,
people put 10K a month on a pedestal, and they see
yeah.
that as okay, this is this really unattainable amount. To make 10K a month, right? If you were a doctor, how long would it take you? Maybe 5 to 10 years, and then you're
Jesus.
earning 10K a month without tax. And in the UK, if you're earning that amount, you're going to be paying about 48% on tax. So you're going through all of that to be earning about £5 a month. But I know people that are making crazy money. There's a 20-year-old I know, and I did a group coaching call for his community the other day. Ollie, he's doing fucking amazing. He
Mm,
made 60 grand with his business the other month.
Jesus.
60 grand at 20 years old. That is 6 times what a doctor would be making after 5 to 10 years of training, education, getting into debt, paying tuition, whatever else. And that's before tax. That's before tax cuts half, right? But people, they see all this
Mm,
stuff online and they just instantly label it as unattainable for me, not possible. It's these limiting beliefs, they hold so many people back, but it's also ignorance. Ignorant to what's truly capable for people. But it's like this whole separate reality. You've got this reality where people work 9 to 5 jobs and this is their life, and the reality we live in, where I'm sure you and I have both spoke to very successful people. We've
yeah.
established a little bit of a foundation to the future that we want for ourselves. We understand this is very tangible. This is possible. It just requires effort consistently,
Yeah.
right? But then the people that are over here, they see this as unattainable. But you and I
Mm,
know it's very, very fucking possible. So it's
yeah.
ignorance and this limiting beliefs. They hold so many people back from living up to their
Yeah.
potential, which is actually why I do what I do. But that's another point. Another point.
I feel like it's easier to believe it once you see the progress. Like I'm already
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
20% of the way there. Like 10K a month is something I'm working towards between the next year and a half. And it's
Yeah.
like now I'm moving to Warsaw with a few of my boys. That one of them is a trader, one of them is a YouTuber, and two of
Yeah.
them are traders. Right? And it's like we're all like have the same goals and living together with those guys. It's like how can you ever doubt that when you see people your age doing the same thing and that's how they did it? Especially with me about podcasts, like of course I speak to a lot of successful people, but it's you don't see those people as that different than you once you
Yeah.
start speaking to these people. It's like they just did some right decisions or they just stuck to it for long enough. When you see progress, when you start making 1K a month online, 2K, it's like you already like how can I not make 10K a month within a few years? It's
Yeah.
like it's so possible because getting to 2K a month isn't that hard. It's like it can't be that much harder, right? And even if it is, it's still worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the way I look at it. It's like I feel like most people need to get a few first sales, a few $100 a month first, and then they like start opening their minds to this concept. If you've made
Yeah.
$0 online, it's like you, of course, so far we've only seen it on YouTube, we've only seen it on Instagram. It's like it doesn't seem real at that point. I kind of understand that.
Yeah. Completely.
What would you say were your biggest mistakes in the beginning when you started coaching, when you started actually entrepreneurship in general?
Underestimating the amount of effort it takes to actually get to where you want to get to.
Yeah.
I remember when I started this first ever business, the marketing agency, I specifically remember trying to write a schedule to get to 10K a month in 3 months by working 30 minutes a day.
Jesus.
What the fuck is wrong with me? I was thinking, yeah, I'm just going to do this. You know how much outreach I was doing for my marketing agency? I was doing 5 to 10 outreach messages a day. And I thought that was going to get me somewhere. I thought that was going to get me the results I wanted. And it wasn't, until I went through 3 years and 12 business models of realizing it actually takes so much fucking work to make money online.
Yeah, bro.
Right? And it's not that it's impossible. It's just that you don't understand how much it actually takes. So that as well. And then also, I would say consuming more than you're creating. Even if you don't want to create content, constantly staying in this cycle of mental masturbation, watching content, educating yourself, filling notebooks with notes. You must just implement. Speed, as everyone says, is the number one rule of business. You must implement as fast as you fucking can, with as much energy as you possibly can. Throw yourself at it. Give your fucking all. And I'm sure something will click. But if you spend 6 months trying to perfect your offer, trying to perfect your outreach, trying to perfect every little intricate detail of your business, you'll make no money. It's one of the things where I always use this analogies, people, right? If you want to get in shape, what's going to be better for you? 3 months of intense studying every single day, 12 hours of understanding exactly how each muscle works, what exercise does, the perfect rep time, whatever else, or months of just going to the gym, picking up weights and figuring out as you go. This is easily going to every single time outweigh this. So the two main important things, underestimating the effort it takes and getting lost in the loop of mental masturbation, not actually taking action towards your goals.
Yeah. Also, what I'd say was a big part of my journey is I made entrepreneurial friends and we're working together. It's like that also speeds up a little bit of the process. For example, I joined one of this YouTuber's school community because I really looked at him and I was watching for like over a year. And when he launched his school community, instantly I joined it. I had no doubt about it. And now, a year later, I'm moving in with 4 of the guys in real life. Like, I'm moving in with an apartment with them. It's like we already had 2 meetups before this. And it's like, holy shit, now I'm working with them. Also, if you, like, just delegate tasks within yourself and you split the profits or whatever your business you're doing, it's a lot of the times you'll find that you'll make more progress with this. Like with my I start doing thumbnails as a freelancer, but now I'm turning it slowly into an agency. I have like 14 guys that are working with me, not for me, but with me, and we're splitting the profits. And we all get to eat this way because we're sending like hundreds of outreach messages a day between all of us. And then some guys are good at doing the graphics, some guys are good at doing the landing pages, some guys are good at coding, and we're all like splitting the skill set of what we're best at. That's just why like people that join your program, I think they should make friends in there. They should talk to each other and ideally move. Bro, if you move in with someone with the same goals, like you don't realize how unrealistic it is to find out like someone like that in a normal gym in a normal city, you know? It's like holy shit. So it's like this is so valuable of a resource that we have, the internet. Find some friends, work together, ideally move together if you can. And holy shit, that's, in my opinion, that's gonna skyrocket the momentum. You get so much momentum from that, in my opinion.
I completely agree with you. I couldn't agree more. It's one of the things where, for me, I underestimated this for a very long time, and I think that's why I didn't make one of them points. But that is a really good point to make. For years, I was in this isolated builder phase. I still had my friends from around that I ended up making, but I was just focusing on it myself. Now I have many people that I'm friends with in the entrepreneurial space that I know that I could contact if I need anything, that I can talk to, that have a similar mindset to me. In February, I'm due to go to Samui with some of the boys in the sales community that I did a coaching call for the other day. Loads of them getting together, getting a massive villa, and it's good to be around them people Because every single time that I've met up with someone that is an entrepreneur or has their own business or is just doing something for themselves, the way that it feeds into this identity you have for yourself and the way that it encourages
Mm.
you to be more productive, to think in more abstract ways, but also to be able to leverage your strengths within their business and leverage their strengths within your business or potentially collaborate together. It's so incredibly underestimated. So that's a really good point to make. And that's why in the Undeniable project, yes, don't get me wrong, a huge part of it is it's intense, one-to-one, holistic, extremely tailored to you, accountability, mental bootcamp, discipline, whatever else. But it's also a sense of community. You know,
Yeah.
the long-term goal for the Undeniable project is it's not just going to be this coaching or mental bootcamp. No, it's going to be this big thing where so many men from around the world can relate. Because also, so many sales reps say this. So many sales reps say what they do is exclusive, and what they
Yeah.
do is invite only. I truly, if you don't talk about your passions and your beliefs in the same way that I do, if you don't care about your own future and your life in the way that I do, in the way that people can tell when I speak, I don't want you in the group because you don't
Mm.
feed into what I'm trying to build long term. You don't feed into the brand values we have. So that's why it's so incredibly important that on a long enough time frame, we encourage members to consistently interact with one another because all of you are here for a reason. All of you are here because you have this similar mindset.
Mm.
And that is why it's so incredibly dangerous for you to all know each other because you
Yeah.
can leverage one another's abilities, skills, strengths, weaknesses. You can
Mm.
help each other in a way that you cannot help yourselves. And that I think is so
Oh, yeah.
incredibly fucking valuable. So valuable.
Yeah. Even like when people talk about networking, oh, network only like once you made it, you don't realize that just knowing a lot of people is valuable. Like I've
Yeah.
done a podcast with, I'm not gonna say who it is because I've done a lot of podcasts. But there's this one guy who's worth like $3 or $4 million in his late 20s, right? And he DM'd me one day like, hey, I'm starting a YouTube channel. Do you have an editor, a video editor? And I'm like, I don't know how to edit videos, but one of my friends edits reels, maybe he edits long form as well. And he said, yeah. He said that he edits, yeah, sure. So I just
Yeah.
connected these two people together, and he closed them on like I think $600 a month, which is like it's not a lot, but for one single client, that's pretty good. Consider that he was about to post like 1 or 2 videos a week. So he out of that connection, I made a few $100 for myself just because I connected these two people together. I knew an editor and I knew someone who needed an editor, and then I told him, yeah, I can get you this job, but I want a commission out of it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, bro. However, like 20% of what he pays me, I'm gonna give you for the first 3 months of working with it. It's like that was so like it completely, that idea never came to my mind until the guy asked me like if don't know anybody, and now it's like holy shit, this completely opened a whole new world for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like
100%.
so many different ways to make money that you would never know.
Completely. And I think
Yeah.
so many people underestimate that, but it's like when you know so many people, you're fine. You're going to be
Mm.
fine because it's like, as we were talking about earlier, when you make your first bit of money online, even if I was to go completely broke tomorrow, I know that I know how to make money online. I'm
Mm-hmm.
fine. But I also know that I can message people that have trust in me. They know me. They know that I'm someone that's credible. They know that I'm someone that they can
Yeah.
rely on and who says what he means and means what he says. So my network, it's not just I know all these rich and famous people. I can ask them for money or I can ask them for a handout. No, they know that I bring value because they know who I am. And it's similarly to how that
Yeah.
person he probably saw your content. He resonated with it, and hence he saw that you could potentially bring value to his own content. So you were able to be the middleman for that relationship. And if you didn't know the other guy, and the
Yeah.
other guy didn't trust you, he didn't like you, he wouldn't want to work for the person you were proposing.
Yeah.
It's a mix of authority, authenticity, and credibility. Once you have all three, and the people that you work with actually feel like they can trust you and they know you,
Yeah.
that is so fucking priceless. Because even if I had no skill set, I could find someone that knows that I'm a man of my word, that would help point me in the right direction of an opportunity. Because they know that I'm going to be hard work and I'm going to
Yeah.
show up. It's dangerous
Yeah.
in the best of ways.
I also feel like guys should understand that in the beginning, you're not really that valuable to people. Like if in my first 5 podcasts, that would have never happened. It's because why? I had no portfolio. I had no like track record of knowing successful people. But it's like now once I've done 57 podcasts, right? I've done a podcast with Max Lewis who's worth like $50 million, and it's like after I've done all of these podcasts, now people, if they need somebody, they can come to me because they know that I know a lot of people in a lot of. I've interviewed fitness influencers, interviewed guys in e-com, all of the business models you can think of, right? And it's like, but that only happened after 2.5 years of sending fucking maybe 5,000 outreaches over that time. It's fucking getting so many no's, so many just no shows, so many guys that booked and didn't come, didn't show up, never applied again. Or so many people say stuff that hurt me a little bit, like, you know, like, yo, maybe once you get to like 50K followers, maybe. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's like stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, it took time, but it's like now I have something that gives me a little bit of leverage, which I'm grateful for. But it's like I'm grateful for 2.5 years of effort, and it's like everyday outreaching. When you're small, that's when I feel like you need to put the most effort ever.
Completely. I completely agree with you. This kind of goes back into one of my previous lessons I would have. You know, when you're starting off, stop thinking that people should owe you their time. Now that, you know, I have a bit more, I'm not famous, I'm not rich, but now that I have a bit more credibility and authority, I get loads of people messaging me, and some of these people, they're almost demanding my time from me, which I take as an insult, you know? You know, some people, they come to me, and I almost feel insulted with the way they talk to me because they think they're worth so much more than they are. And I'm not saying that to put them down at all, but I'm saying it because you have to understand the reps you must put in before people start respecting your time as much as they respect theirs. And it's like, if you had reached out to me, I'm a very nice guy, I'm a respectful guy, but if you had no YouTube videos, I'm a very busy person. I may not have been as inclined to be open to get on a call with you.
Of course.
I may not have been as open to talking to you, but I could see, you know what, this is someone, he's put in the work. He's put in the hours. It doesn't matter who you've done a podcast with or the exact number, but I can see you've put in the effort where people weren't showing you this attention. People weren't showing you the respect that you need to be shown. And I understand firsthand how that feels because every entrepreneur, every business owner, every person that's ever built something for themselves has been through that. You know, so many people, they need to stop underestimating how little value they bring, not because they're not worth anything, but because they need to put in as much effort as they possibly can to bring as much value, even if you don't have the best skill set. Even if you aren't, you know, the most confident person, do as much as you possibly can to make sure you're showing people how hungry you are, how resourceful you are, how you're going to make sure you can bring as much value to their lives as you can. Don't go to them and say, yes, bro, you know, are you free this Friday for a podcast? And I look at their page and they've done none and they've got 10 followers and they've got a picture of them drinking with their friends. Fuck off. I don't have time for you. You know, but if you come to me nice, respectfully, I can see you're trying. Even if you came to me and you only had one video posted, but, you know, it had a nice professional thumbnail. And, you know, I watched the video, I could see you were showing up with confidence. You were trying to ask good questions. I would give you that time because I can see you're willing to put in the effort to make yourself seen. Right? But so many people underestimate how much effort that actually takes. So, really good point.
And I even like I was a little bit delusional in the beginning. Like I was outreaching to big people when I had 0 podcasts recorded first. My first podcast later on, I learned that I had to start small, or with like some guys from Twitter with like 500 followers, like 1,000 followers. Or it was with one of my friends from the gym who had a few hundred followers. Right? It's just like it started small, you know. And then later on, like I had my biggest W, which I still don't believe to this day that it happened. It was with King's Community, who has like 2 million followers on Instagram, that was my biggest podcast ever. And it's like, I don't understand how the fuck that happened. But it's like, I feel like that's because I had like, you know, at that time I must have had like 30 or 40 podcasts under my belt. So it's like, and it was maybe the good way to get to someone is if they follow you. So it's like Hamza follows me, some other like big people follow me. So it's like, as soon that gives you a little bit of credibility. So also this is another reason why networking is useful, because if you want to get to someone, like for example, I wanted to do a podcast with Brett Scales. You know who that is? Yeah. He had 90,000 followers at the time. He replied to me, but he said he's busy, whatever. Now he has 1 million followers. It's gonna be way harder now. But I started doing podcasts with a few people that he follows and that he done some videos with, or like mentioned him or mention him, whatever. It's like you work your way up the ladder to that person. If I want to do a podcast with Kanye West, that's one of my dream fucking guests. It's like well, that's gonna take a few years, maybe 5 years, if hell, who knows? But it's worth it because I am enjoying the process. I'm enjoying
Yeah.
because every single person is so different, and every single person has such a different story and such a different,
Yeah.
completely mindset and everything. So it's like you have to find something that fulfills you and that you feel like you're
Yeah.
contributing to other people. There will be some guy who was closed-minded about entrepreneurship after watching this one, maybe from the UK, just like you, who now is going to enter your program and get a lot of progress. So it's like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel this way if I was, I'm trying to give an example, but it's like, I don't know, selling feet pics, like a lot of these girls, for example, for like thousands of dollars. It's like, it's more money, but it's like, of course, as a man, I can't really do that. It's like, no customers will come, right? But it's like, if I was the girl, right, that did that, it's like, how proud can you really feel of yourself for that,
Completely. And I completely agree with that. One of the business models I've tried in the past, I actually did OFM for a little bit. For a short while, I did OFM because it's so incredibly lucrative. Right, there's so much money in OFM and in that industry. However, I had this internal conflict the whole time of, I'm not bringing value to the world. I'm not helping people. I don't give a fuck about it. I'm just doing it for the money. And I now have the realization of I'd much rather earn £500 a month and do what I do now than £100,000 a month doing OFM. So it's incredibly important that you think about how you can bring value to the world in a way that makes you passionate. That's why I'm so happy to see you found what you found. I'm so happy to have found what I've found, because I think it's one of the best feelings you can ever feel in this world. Complete alignment with value you bring others and how you change other people's lives, but ultimately also how you understand yourselves and how you do work that fulfills you. Finding the middle ground between these two things, it is the best feeling. I can't describe it to anyone.
Yeah. Bro, whenever I get like a DM from a client that says, yo, bro, the last video did fire, and I'm looking at the views and it's like 4 times the views of the last video, I'm like, I'm so happy. For some reason, even if it's not my video, I'm just happy for him, to be honest. These wins that you provide for other people for some reason makes you happy. Even when you like give like $10 to a homeless guy and you see him like, buy something in the store to eat, and it's like, holy shit, maybe that's his first meal of the day. And it's like, or he buys a kebab or something, and it's like, you're happy for him, even if it's not your win. It's like, it makes you feel good, and so I feel like
it's about helping others feel seen and understood through your own actions. It's like what you're saying with the homeless analogy, like here in Vietnam, for example, I tip a lot of the people here. Obviously, money here, UK money, whatever else, it goes along with it. There's this one kid called B, right? And I go to this pool hall quite regularly, right? To play snooker, pool, billiards, whatever it's called, right? And it's one kid, and he's 18 years old. Obviously, I say kid, he's only a little bit younger than me, but he looks very young. They look about 12 years old here in Vietnam, right? But the way that he works, he's constantly on point. He works from 5 p.m. till 4 a.m. 7 days a week, every single week, right? And he's constantly running around, resetting the pool tables, picking up balls that fall, bringing people drinks. He speaks hardly any English, but he's always got a massive smile on his face, and he's just got this energy, this way about him. And I found out that he earns, I think it was like £1 an hour, something like that, right?
£1 an hour? What the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I tipped him like 8 hours worth of money, just the first time I met him, right? The way that he lit up, the way that he seemed to feel about himself, it wasn't even just about giving him money. It's not about the monetary value. It's about making him feel seen. Because I know how it feels to not feel seen. I know how it feels to feel like you're not being acknowledged. And that's exactly like, it ties into my work. My work isn't just about helping people be better. It's about helping them see themselves and helping them see that I see them for who they are. That's exactly what happened there, because I saw he was hardworking. I saw that, he shows up all the time. He works crazy hours for little money. I saw that he's just like me. He's just like me. And I helped him feel seen, and the way that he lit up is something that is way more fulfilling than anything else. I felt better giving him that money than I would have felt if I'd have received £10,000 wired straight to my account at the same moment in time. It's unparalleled. They are two completely different feelings, and I think this is what it's all about. Helping bring value to the world and other people, helping them to see themselves, helping them to feel better about themselves, but also feeling passionate in what you do and feeling like it fulfills you. This is so incredibly important.
Yeah, that makes sense. Holy shit. Why did you choose Vietnam out of all places?
So before I started doing what I'm doing now, whatever else, the first offer I was ever on, there were these two mentors and they trained me quite a lot. They put quite a lot of hours into me. I ended up parting ways with them before I left. However, they lived here in Vietnam. They lived here in the city of Da Nang, which is where I am, right? And they always told me how good it was, how amazing it was. So I intended to come here to see them. When I left my offer just before coming here, they stopped talking to me. I've spoke to them a couple of times, but they didn't communicate with me further for one reason or another. I couldn't tell you. However, I decided, fuck it. I've decided I'm going to come here anyway. If I don't like it, I'll leave and I'll go to Thailand or I'll go somewhere else. Came here, an amazing city, absolutely loved it, and then that's why we're here now. Beautiful place.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you think that you would have made the same amount of progress in the UK if you were still living there?
No, absolutely not. So when I first came here, yeah, like I was doing well financially through appointment setting, whatever else, but coming here, even if you only make £1,000 a month, being in somewhere like here, you can buy whatever you want. You can order food 4 times a day. You can order every single time you order food. You can order a main, a side, a drink, a dessert if you really fucking want to. You can go out clothes shopping. You can do what you want. You can live in a nice place, because you can afford so much. It encourages you to chase something that makes you feel more fulfilled. I could have came here and I could have been earning £1,000 a month and bought whatever I wanted to buy and done whatever I wanted to do. And I would have still had the same moment of realization is I came here and after I'd got used to the quality of life,
Mm.
after I became familiar with what it's like to be able to afford what you want, I realized two things. One, being able to buy whatever you want whenever you want is actually kind of boring. It's actually, it gets very tiring very quickly, because the most enjoyable thing is the chase. It's the feeling of, I can buy whatever I want. I can do what I want. That's the most thrilling part. When you actually have it, you get used to it very quickly. But then it also made me think, okay, well, any more money I earn now is just kind of extra in a way. It's just money that I'm gonna eventually later reinvest into myself or my future. I've never been someone to save money. I've always been someone to reinvest money, reuse it. So I was like, okay, well, what can I do now that's actually gonna make my life feel more fulfilling?
Mm.
What can I do that's actually gonna make me feel, like my life carries more weight than it does? What's gonna make me feel better than just more numbers in my
Yeah.
bank account? That was how I ended up landing on the Undeniable project because I put myself in an environment where two things. One, I had no association to my former self.
Mm.
Like I was now so far away from everyone that I knew, everyone I was familiar with, and it was this opportunity to reinvent myself. I'd already done so much identity work, rewiring who I was, changing the person I was, but I now had this fresh start. And I also had this weird realization of in the UK, by the way, everything's so expensive. So expensive. If you want to do whatever you want, whatever you want, consistently after tax, you need at least £7,500 to £10,000 a month. It's so
Mm.
expensive. Here you can do the same on 7 to 10 times cheaper. Right. So now coming here, now being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want. Money, I'm no longer thinking about money ever. Money's never
Mm.
coming into my head. I'm just tapping my card. I'm not thinking about anything whatsoever. In
Yeah.
the UK, you still have to be mindful because you get stuff that's really expensive. But then I had this moment of like, this isn't it, surely. Yeah, I may
Mm.
be able to, chase this feeling in other countries. I may be able to earn more money so I can experience this level of freedom in places like Dubai or central London or just places where it's more expensive. But surely this feeling of freedom that I'm actually quite bored of already, surely this isn't it. So I started talking around, I started speaking to people about their offers, and that was when I had that conversation with Jack. And when I
Mm.
said to him, look, I've always wanted to try and help people be better, but I've never really wanted to be a glorified life coach. And that was when he sent me a long voice note explaining what I need to
Mm.
do. And, the one sentence, help men live up to their potential, stuck with me. And I decided, fuck it. This is what I'm going to run with. This is what I'm going to do. And if I had
Mm.
never left the UK, I wouldn't have done that because I still would have been chasing more numbers just so I could live
Mm.
comfortable in the UK. So it was
Yeah.
definitely one of the most important decisions I've ever made.
Makes sense. Yeah, I feel like this move to Warsaw also was gonna change a lot for me.
Completely.
Yeah, it's like
Completely.
when I was there for those couple of days, I just like I knew for the feeling that I needed to be there. Like what the fuck? Like it's completely different. You'd think that two countries right next to each other are similar, fucking day and night difference. Here, I think like maybe what, like maybe 4% of the population is religious of any kind, and like 3% are Christian, let's say. It's like in Poland is like completely like, I think like over 50%. It's like
Yeah.
it's like completely different energy for a Christian. Um, I want to ask you,
Nice.
why do you think is the most common reason most entrepreneurs quit? Maybe in the
Self.
early stages.
Yeah. I would say self-belief and inner identity. Once more, this ties back into
Mm.
the undeniable project and why I do what I do. I could teach people how to make money online. I could teach people what they need to go and make their first 5K month online, whatever else. But if you don't have the identity and the inner self belief and conviction within yourself that you can do whatever the fuck you want to do, you're never going to get there. I would never be on the trajectory I'm on or be the person I'm on my way to becoming if I didn't have the level of belief and conviction within myself I did. So many people give up because they don't have belief. And the way that I will challenge anyone that doesn't entirely believe what I'm saying is, if you truly believe with every fiber in your being, you knew for 100 million% that if you worked on your business for 4 hours every day for the next 20
Mm.
years, you would make no money for 20 years and then suddenly you'd make 100 million a year. You would stick to it for 20 years
Yeah.
because you would know what's coming to you. Even if it's difficult, even if some days you didn't want to, you would know, no, okay, no matter what, I know that in 19 more years, I'm going to be earning 100 million a year.
Yeah.
And this belief would carry you through your darkest of moments. But if you don't have this belief, your darkest moments will overrun you. You
Oh,
must have
yeah.
control over your mind. And if you allow yourself to succumb to these negative internal thoughts, if you don't yet have such a resilient self-identity and perception of yourself, you're never going to make it to where you want to
Mm.
get to. Because for me, and I'm sure for you as well, now quitting is impossible. I've come too
Oh,
far
yeah.
and I know what I'm capable of. I couldn't quit no matter what because I know what I'm capable of. I know what's coming to me. I know what I'm destined for because I've got this level of self belief. I have this identity within myself. I have this conviction, this belief, which
Mm.
is why I do what I do, because it's so important that as a man you develop this. Because look, say you and I in our own individual lives, say we fell off for a month, and for
Mm-hmm.
this month we stayed in bed all day every day. We did no work. Our businesses went to
Yeah.
shit. We did hard drugs all day. We masturbated 4 times a day. We just did fuck all with our lives for a month. If after that month we had a reflection, we would still know, okay, before this month happened, before this absolute shit show of a month,
Mm-hmm.
I know what that felt like. I know that I knew who I was. So I know that if I've done it once before, I can do it again, which is what the Undeniable Project is. It's not we're going to change your life. It's not we're going to fix your life for
Mm.
you. We're going to show you that you can fix your own life. We're going to give you the tools, assets, resources you need to actually do that, whatever training, support, whatever you need. However, the whole premise isn't your life's going to be changed because we're going to go hands on and do it for you and make you loads of money online. So we're going to show you what you're capable of so that through no matter
Mm.
where you are in your life, no matter how many years it's been since you've been through the Undeniable Project, you're always going to have this reference point to go back to of, okay, I've done this before, I can do it again. Because if you
Yeah.
lack self belief, that is why people quit. That is why people give up.
Yeah.
And failure is to quit. Failure is nothing but quitting. You cannot fail
Mm.
unless you quit. If you're
Mm.
experiencing, if your goal in life is experience, you are never going to be failing. You're never going to be losing. You only fail when you
Mm.
quit. You only quit if you don't believe in yourself. That is why what I do is so
Mm.
important. That is why self belief and inner identity is the most important thing in the online business space.
Yeah, and when you gave the example with the 1 month, I feel like it's even 1 weekend because I have this one story exactly when I even made a video about it a few days back on my second channel, but I'm just gonna briefly say it here. Usually my girlfriend comes around like once every 2 weeks. Like I see her like a few times a month, but it's like 1 week, and I just decided, what if I just acted like my old self again? You know, it's like the bad habits and all of that, like completely like waste time, just completely neglect work, right? Because usually, like, I don't know, she's a painter, right? She painted that painting on my wall there, for example. And usually we go to a cafe. She's painting on her iPad, like she's doing her own projects that she's selling, and I'm doing my own. But you this time, nah. We ordered pizza. We watched movies all day, like a Netflix series, Mindhunter, and it was completely an unproductive 3 days from Friday till Sunday. And as soon as she left, that like wake up completely like hit me like, what the fuck.
Yep.
I looked at my Instagram and my graphics Instagram, like the second account, and I see so many fucking messages from clients that I've missed, and seeing like, holy shit, like so much work
Yep.
that I have to do that I just completely like didn't even think about, because I was too indulged in the pleasure in the fuck. I was eating junk food
Yep.
and watching movies all day. That's really what we were doing. And it's like, I'm like, it was nice until it happened, but until it ended, and then I just completely woke up, and I'm like, I'm not a boy anymore. Like I have responsibilities, you know. It's like,
Yep.
holy shit. The second day again, 4 a.m. wake up, back to my routine, and I got the long ass day of work that I could have just like, I could have been more responsible, but I wasn't. However, yeah, man, ever since then, I just realized that this doesn't fulfill me. Like, bro, eating pizza and watching movies is not fucking as is. It's
Yep.
only fun in the moment. And it's like, I'm never like going back to that, because I remember how shit I felt the Monday after that weekend. So I
Yep.
feel like once that's in your identity, that you're not the type of person who just wastes time, you'll feel shit if you just do it once. You'll feel like shit,
Yep.
and you'll just never want to do it again.
Completely. I agree with you. It's one of the things where you could get back to it because you had a reference point. You know who the fuck you are. You know what you're capable
Oh
of.
yeah.
You know the path you're. But if you've been half in, half out your whole life, and you've never had a
Ah,
long time frame where you've been locked in, and you've
yeah.
never had an extended period of time where you've been forced to stay disciplined, you may not have this complete belief that you can get back to that version of yourself. Like, for example, obviously we have multiple length programs, 6, 12, 24 weeks, all
Mm.
designed to help you rewire your brain in one way or another. Each one is a different level of
Mm-hmm.
intensity, but what we do is you can choose the level of accountability. So say, for example, you were to come to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the past year or two, you've been trying to run your business, but you still do some bad habits. You
Yeah.
still don't do all the stuff you need to do, whatever else. And you've never once had a period of time in your life where you stayed consistent for like
Mm.
3, 4, 5, 6 months on end. I mean, really consistent. Not
Yeah.
not for a month, not for 2 months, but for a really long period of time. If you were
Mm-hmm.
to come to me and you would say, "Look, Neo, I don't want to doom scroll all the time. I want to be getting to bed early. I don't want to be smoking weed. I want to be doing this work every day." There's a system that we're going to put in place which holds you accountable. And if you don't do that, and if you don't prove to me you've done every single commitment you've made yourself, you're doing a punishment on video. Whether that's 500 push-ups or whether
Mm.
that's a 5-mile run that you need to show me you've actually done it
Yeah.
on a fitness app. You make these, sort of consequences for yourself beforehand to prove to yourself that you can do difficult things. And what it does as well is, even if you're one of my clients and you fell off, right,
Mm.
and now you had to go run 3 miles in the freezing cold and the rain, is once you
Mm-hmm.
get back from that rain, you get a flood of endorphins and dopamine. And what that does
Yeah.
is it reaffirms to your brain that actually, I don't enjoy slacking off and missing the difficult things. I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
doing the difficult things. And now
Yeah.
what this does for you is, over the course of 3 months, 6 months, obviously we have a shorter course, 4 to 6 weeks, but we wouldn't recommend that. That's more so just foundational. If you just have no idea of how to be disciplined and you
Mm-hmm.
want to build a foundation, you don't want to commit overly soon, that's fine, that's for you. But the longer ones, 3 months, 6 months, what this does is, say you're with me for 6 months, and over these 6 months, you may not be perfect every single day, but you force yourself to show up. And even on the days you don't show up, you're being forced to reinforce in yourself that you enjoy the difficult things. What
Mm-hmm.
this does is, after these 6 months, even if you and I stop working together and you stay out of contact with me, what we do as well is, for each of our clients, at the end of their time working with us, we give them a plan going forward. We don't just say, "All right, see
Yeah.
you, bye, fuck off, you're not a client now." No, you get a plan. We talk
Yeah.
about how you're going to keep this up going forward, how you're going to, hold yourself accountable.
Holy
What this
shit.
does is, say you were to hold yourself accountable for 3 to 6 months through the Undeniable Project, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
what you do after that is, for 2 weeks, you go on a bender. You go, "Oh my God, I've got no one holding me accountable. This is great. I'm smoking weed every day. I'm doing whatever I want to do." What you're going to do is, you're going to think in your head, you're going to think back to that time when you were with the Undeniable Project. You're going to think back to how good you felt when you were winning. Winners stay winning, losers stay losing. If you're winning
Mm-hmm.
all the time, you want to keep winning. If you're losing all the time, you want to keep losing. You will
Yeah.
never be able to forget how it felt to win for as long as you were with the Undeniable Project.
Oh yeah.
And what it does is, it reinforces within your brain that this is something I can actually do. So no matter how long you fall off, you're always going to be able to get back into it as soon as you have this moment of realization of, "I can do this." Similarly to how, after the 3 days of movies and pizza, you
Yeah.
remembered who you are. You remembered your responsibilities, your mission. You remembered how good it feels to be working towards your goals. So you snap back into it. That is exactly what we're doing. We're helping men
Yeah.
build the reference point they need to snap back into that version of themselves.
Yeah. There's also like even I felt a little bit shameful for my girlfriend because she saw like I was acting like a complete loser. Like she never like saw me like completely like usually like I spent a few hours with her, but then I say like yeah I got this project I need to work on. I don't know like you know like I need to get back to work, and she's there waiting patiently reading book or doing whatever, doing her stuff. But it's like this weekend she must have thought like does he have no work to do? Does he have nothing to do? It's like even I felt a little bit guilty, you know what I mean? It's like holy shit, it doesn't I don't feel like myself when I'm like my older self again. So it's like that's when for once you get the momentum for a few years, even a few months, I think it's like it's so hard to go back because it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
It's something about it doesn't feel right.
Completely. It's like, look, you and I have ingrained this identity so deep in ourselves, we couldn't fall off indefinitely. It would take something incredibly monumentally tragic to enable us to fall off completely. Even then, you'd always have the belief in the back of your mind of, I know who I was for that period of time.
Yeah.
And the Undeniable Project, it may not be 2 to 3 years of entrepreneurship. It may not be years and years of trial and error. But as long as you're okay with it and you understand how intense it is such intense accountability. You know, obviously, like there's weekly challenge, daily challenges. There's so many training modules, so much value are being brought to your life that if you extract everything you possibly can out of it and you live up to the standards that we impose on you and that you set for yourselves on our initial strategy calls, over this period of time, because it's so intense, because it's not just trial and error, fucking around and finding out for 3 years. It's 6 months of we give you a plan. We know what works. It's not just mine and my own lived experience. Don't get me wrong. I've gone from being lazy, undisciplined, the worst mindset in a psychiatric ward to being who I am today. But there's also other people in the entrepreneurial space, in the sales space, in the content creation space that have all given me their input and given this offer their input as to what helped them. So because it is so intense, no matter how long it is, even if you come with us for 3 months, if you truly dedicate yourself for them 3 months, you truly extract as much value as you possibly can, then 3 months you will never be able to forget in your life because you worked so fucking hard every single day. And that is why it's so incredibly important. That is why what we do changes lives.
Yeah. What would you say was the biggest risk you took in your life?
Coming here with £400 to my name and no job.
400 pounds. That's like
£400, you know,
$550, like maybe even less.
Yep, there's plenty of videos on this. I made a long form vlog on my lifestyle/vlog channel. It's called Journey to Vietnam. It shows me going through saying bye to friends, family, whatever else, and it also shows the raw moments leading up to it. You know, little cutaway clips where I'm talking to the camera. There was one where I'm at a family meal saying bye to all my family, and I walk outside and I'm talking about how anxious I feel, how I feel sick to my stomach because I have £400 to my name, and in 2 days I'm going to be on a plane to Vietnam. I had rent and expenses covered for 1 month. I had no income, no idea what I was doing, but I knew who I was. Once more, this is the identity that I had built, the self-assurance. You know, I knew that I would make it work, but did I? No, I was fucking delusional. But this delusional was based off of evidence of how hard I show up. But this was my biggest risk because this was truly, Neo, bear in mind, I wasn't living at my parents' house, right? I was living in my own apartment in a youth hostel. It was like nearly £1,000 a month. I'd been living there for nearly a year. I had a routine. I was leaving my comfy apartment behind, which meant if I were to have come here and gone broke, I would have had to go back to living in the storage room of my mum's house on an air mattress, right? I would have had nowhere to stay. I would have come back, had no job, no income. I would have felt ashamed because I was posting it publicly online. You know, I'd moved so far away from my friends and family, but I came here and I made it work.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest risk. I've took many risks in my time. I've constantly never been afraid to invest in myself because I knew the potential return it could have. But that was genuinely one of my pivotal moments because this was based off pure fucking delusion. Pure delusion and insanity and whatever else, but it worked. It worked, and I couldn't be more grateful that I did what I did because I wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't have made that leap.
Yeah. Holy shit, bro. What do you think is like the key to maintaining the momentum, keeping the maybe long-term success, but like not losing the momentum once you got it?
So it's 3 things. The first one is how fast you pick yourself up. I fall off sometimes, even though this is my whole thing. I'm human. Everyone does it, but I pick myself up so fast. So closing that gap between when you fall off and when you get back on it. Once more, that's what we do in the Undeniable Project. We help you close
Mm.
that gap. But secondly, I would also say the way you talk to yourself. When you fall off, do you speak negatively to yourself? Do you resent yourself for it? Or do you say it's okay? You're human. It's okay you've fallen off. But what can you do right now that's going to change that? What can you do right now that's going to get you back moving faster? So speaking to yourself positively. If I go and eat shit food, I'm not gonna go, oh, you're a fat slob. What's wrong with you? I'm gonna go, it's okay. You're human. You had an urge. You had a craving. You succumbed to this craving. That's fine. You know. But just make sure that you eat something healthy. Neo, what's something healthy you have in your fridge right now you can eat? Okay, I've got a piece of fruit. Okay, I'm gonna have a piece of fruit. You know. It's not about going, oh, you fucking idiot. Oh, because if you do that, it makes you want to stay off because you put this pressure on your shoulders. You put this guilt on yourself. So that also helps you close the gap. But the third thing, I would say, consistency over perfection. For a very long time, I've been a perfectionist. I've been someone that wants to get everything right and be working as hard as I possibly can every single day. But now I understand that it's never about consistent. No, it's never about perfection, right? It's never about working as hard as you possibly can every single day. It's purely showing up every single day without fail. So now, if I do
Mm.
fall off, or if I am having a low input day, or my brain's not working the way I want it to, I think, okay, right, Neo, what are the very few things I can do today that are the highest ROI? Not do this, and fucking this. No, okay. What are 2 to 3 things I can do today that won't take me long, that are still going to move the needle a little bit? Because you do them things, and what happens is one of two things. You either feel like, okay, I want to do more stuff now because I've already won today. Or you feel like, you know what? I still feel shit. I feel lazy because everyone has these days. I'm going to take the rest of this evening off, and I know that tomorrow I'm going to come back harder, and at least I didn't waste today. So, consistency over perfection, talking to yourself in a positive manner, and also closing the gap between when you
Mm.
fall off and when you actually get back on the wagon. They're the three most important things to longevity and actually building something substantial for yourself.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. When you said that you build identity and you build experience that you can never forget and you can never go back to, it's even like it reminded me of the time because my current like biggest goal right now is like it's a Dodge Challenger Hellcat. It's like the Hellcat has always been my dream car since I was like fucking 15. Now I'm working towards that, but one day earlier this year, this summer, I don't have a driving license yet. I'm gonna have it in the next 20 days, but I rented like a ride in a Hellcat. It was like a track day where it cost me like $125 for like I think an hour, right? And it was, bro, it was exactly like the perfect spec, the Hellcat wide body. It was so.
Yeah.
It was a day that 1 hour that I will never forget. And I was just a passenger, and I just thought to myself, I need this car. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I can never quit just because I know that someone has this Hellcat and it doesn't mean anything to them. And to me, it's something that I've always wanted. I experienced it now, what it's like, just as a passenger. And it's like, holy shit, now I know I will never forget what it feels like.
Yeah.
I actually have it here, bro. I put it right here on my fucking wall. This Hellcat white body. So yeah, it just reminds me every day of one of the things that I'm working towards. So I feel like having anchors, like all these like anchors, like something that whenever you feel like giving up, it's just like forget you will never have this experience, whatever it may be. Maybe it's like a house, like you rented a villa for a weekend for a few $1,000s, and you will never forget what it's like, and you'll realize that there are people who live in houses that big and they own them, and you will never get that experience again if you don't make it work, right? Or it's whatever it may be. I feel like these anchors are the things that motivates and keeps a lot of entrepreneurs going. Do you have anything like that?
I wouldn't say I inherently do now, but I have done, and I'll tell you a little bit about what they are. My current anchor, if anything, is my little brother. My little brother's a lot younger than me.
Ah.
He's 9 years old. He's this little ginger autistic kid, and I know I'm on the spectrum as well, but I mean he's really autistic. But I love him so much.
Mm.
He is my pride and joy, and I know that I had such a hard time growing up. Everyone gave me shit. No one treated me with respect, whatever else. Kai, my little brother, is 9, right? I'm going to do everything in my power to build such an amazing life,
Oh
not
yeah.
just for my own sake, but for him. So he doesn't have to experience the life I experienced. So he never goes down the wrong path. So that he has someone to look up
Mm.
to, and he knows what is possible for him because his brother did it. That's an anchor. On my worst days, when I don't feel like doing anything, when I feel like slacking off or smoking a joint or doing whatever else, I think, what would Kai think if he saw me right now? You know, if Kai was in the same position, what would I want him to do? There's so many ways that I anchor this back to Kai, but
Mm.
in the past, I did many things to similarly to what you did. That's almost manifesting in a way because you're showing yourself it's
Yeah.
possible. You know what I would do? I would I'd put on my smartest outfit. I'd put on a fake Rolex. I'd put on a
Yeah.
really nice attire, right? And I would go from my
Yeah.
hometown to London. And what I would do in London is I'd go to central London, I'd go to Knightsbridge.
Mm.
Knightsbridge is where all the rich people go. People from Dubai, people from
Mm-hmm.
countries with money, they all go to Knightsbridge because that's where you have Harrods. That's where you have all these fancy designer stores. You
Mm-hmm.
walk around Knightsbridge, it's like Dubai. There's nice cars everywhere. There's Rolls Royces, chauffeurs, Lamborghinis,
Yeah.
whatever else. I go through there and I go to Harrods. Harrods in Knightsbridge is one of the most premium, department stores ever. It's six
Mm.
stories. There's hundreds of designer stores in there. So many rich people. You walk around, it's crazy. I remember going one time and I saw this family of like 5 Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was these wife, husband, three kids, right? They each picked up a Versace bathrobe that was £2,000 each. The kids said, Mom, Dad, can I have these? And then the parents were like, yeah, and they picked up 5 of these Versace bathrobes for these three fuckers and
Jesus.
themselves that are £2,000 each. And I was there in shock. I was like, this is someone's reality. They don't care. And this is crazy to me because this was when I was
Yeah.
17. I just started my marketing agency. I had no,
Mm.
experience actually generating much money online. And I remember I'd go into these places and I'd just try and act like I fit in. And I would just try and act like I was meant to be there. I'd walk through the department stores. I'd act like a pretentious stuck-up knob. I'd put my nose up. I'd glance at stuff like I didn't really care, But the whole time I had this feeling inside me of like, holy shit, like this. One day I'm going to be going through here, and I'm going to be able to buy this stuff. One day I'm going through here, and this is going to be my reality. I'm going to be able to shop in here. And this was kind of reinforcing to me of this is possible because someone's done it. I'm walking through, the shopkeepers are coming up to me because of the way I'm presenting myself. They're going, hello, sir, is there anything I can help you with? Would you like a glass of water? Would you like to be shown around? Is there anything particular you're looking for? And in my head, this is reinforcing that I'm actually not different. I just
Mm.
started after these people started.
Yeah.
And I would go and sit down. I remember one time at Harrods, I sat down at this rooftop bar. This was about a year ago. I've done this multiple times. Sat down at this rooftop bar, and it was this American family again. It was this mum, her female friend, I think it was, and their 2 daughters, right? And then with one daughter, she's like, mummy, can I be an actor when we go home? And then the mum was like, yeah, sure, darling, you can be whatever you want to be, something like that, right? And I remember thinking, like, fucking hell, what do you mean, mum? If I asked my mum as a young kid, can I be an actor? She might say, yeah, sure, but she's not gonna say, yeah, I'll put you in acting lessons. She's not gonna say, yeah, sure, you can go do that. And they were ordering like these sandwich platters that are like 60, 70 pounds. The kids are touching 2 of them out of 10 of these sandwiches, and they're just leaving them. I remember thinking, this is someone's normality. But if anything, they're not different from me. These are normal people. They just started
Yeah.
before I did, And then as well, before I came out to Asia, I specifically remember I had this big yoga mat by my window. And in the mornings, I would journal. And what I would do, I would say to ChatGPT, I'd basically get it to write me a long paragraph, which is visualizing in POV what my life would be like in Asia. What it'd feel like to wake up in Asia, what it would look like. And I'd press the
Mm.
text to
Yeah.
speech button. I'd get it to read it out to me while also playing rainforest and jungle noises from my Alexa on my laptop and just laying there. I'd lay there with my eyes closed, listening to the voiceover of what the POV of my day in the life would look like in Asia with the rainforest noise in the background. And this wasn't because I was trying to, manifest a reality. It was because I was trying
Mm.
to embody what it would feel like to live that version of my life. And if I hadn't have done
Yeah.
that, I wouldn't have felt how real it is. Same with when you got in that car. That suddenly took
Oh
it from
yeah.
this is my dream to this is tangible. It took it from this is a long lost fantasy to someone experiences this every day and they don't give a fuck about it because they're used to it. It showed you
Mm.
what's possible. And that's why I think it's so important that if you don't have an anchor, like a family member, like an
Mm.
external source of motivation, you need to try and consciously remind yourself in the most tangible ways possible what it's going to feel like to be that version
Mm.
of yourself, because that will
Yeah.
light a fire inside you nothing else ever will.
And the craziest thing about all this is that it's possible to live one day in that life. Why don't people just do it? Because
Hmm.
then you'll never want to go back. It's like you'll
Yep.
always like keep that memory in your mind. Like I remember the special thing about that riot that day was it was a guy from Instagram, right? That he just put an ad on Instagram that this is his only car, right? And that he was renting. And it was like a guy that would look like maybe 30, 31, 32. Like he wasn't that
Yep.
old. And I just took a ride with him, and I just like it was an hour right around the city, and then we went to the track. And he just said that he wants to build this into a car rental business, right? Like he financed this Hellcat, and he's paying like $2,000 a
Yep.
month for it. And I'm like, this is
Yep.
whoa, just $2K for a here they cost like $100,000, right? And I'm like,
Yep.
what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, well, but I make like 5 times that with the rental, right? Like he has a lot of people here because
Yep.
American cars in Central Europe are rare, right? So a lot of people want them.
Yep.
And I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, bro, this guy is 30 right now. By the time he's 40, he's gonna have like fucking 60 fucking rentals. He's gonna make like so much
Yeah.
more money. And I'm
Yeah.
just thinking to myself, like these people. I thought that he would be so different from me, but he's just an older version of me. Like he's just 12 years
Yep.
older than me. I'm like so it's so crazy. All right, I spoke to him and what he
Right.
does for a living. He was in real estate, and he decided to try this. Right now, I'm just thinking to myself, this is so achievable. And it's like, yeah, it's just as
Yep.
long as you don't quit and just you keep doing the things that are gonna make you give you the progress towards there.
Yeah.
Do you look up to someone right now? Do you have someone that inspires you? Maybe online, maybe someone in your personal life, whoever.
I look up to my parents in their own rights. I think that's important to take note of. You
Mm.
know, I look up to the fact that my mum, you know, is still a waitress. She still puts in so much fucking hard work.
Mm.
And one day she's not going to be, because I'm going to make sure of it. But my dad as well, obviously, he's a truck driver. They're both very hard-working people.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be honest with you, the person I look up to most is probably a bit of an egotistical answer, but I look up to that younger version of myself. I look up to the
Ah,
version of myself that was in these hospitals, that kept pushing regardless, knowing where
yeah.
things are going to go. I don't think people understand. If you are someone that knows me or knows my story, you know, then you understand what I'm referring to. But if you don't, I'll give you a quick rundown. The long story short of it is, when I went through these psychiatric hospitals, I lost every single one of my childhood friends when I was in there. But not because
Ah.
I did anything wrong, because there were these two people I'd been best friends with, and what happened is they had spread this agenda around school and whatever else, that I was
Mm.
this dangerous person, this crazy person, because I was in these wards. And that meant that when I came out, I went back to school. I remember walking in my first day, and the whole class went silent. You know,
Mm.
everyone stared at me, everyone's like whispering. Sat down next to someone, they got up, moved along. I remember going to the lunch table, having the people I was maybe friends with getting up and moving along. I'm thinking, what the fuck? I've been in hospital for half a year. You know, what's going on? You know, I remember going to the bathroom every single day by myself. You know, and eventually, after months of being ignored by, you know, these people that were meant to be my best friends, my school friends that I've known for years and years and years, I ended up going back into another hospital because it took a toll on me. And I remember being in that
Mm.
hospital, watching everyone on Leavers Day, watching them all go to prom together, watching them all take nice pictures, saying bye to each other. And that destroyed me, because I was sat there in hospital by myself on the other side of the UK. My
Yeah.
family couldn't visit me because of how far I was, but I kept pushing anyway. And genuinely, now that I see it from where I stand, and now I'm this person once more. I'm not famous. I'm not rich, but you know, I have a sense of credibility. I have a sense of
Mm-hmm.
direction in my life, and you know, I finally feel established in myself. There is no one that I look up to more than the strength and resilience of that younger version of myself. And if I say that I'm looking up to him in a means of being inspired, not because he has more than me, but because there is nothing that I can't handle now, because that boy handled so much more. That young boy that was going through absolute hell, I'm so inspired by the
Mm.
strength it took him to continue pushing through that. So once more, it's
Mm.
probably a bit of a generic answer. I'm sure there's other people online or influencers that I could say I look up to in a sense, but I would now just say it as more so, I respect what they do and I respect what they've built and the message they promote. But if there's anyone that
Mm.
truly inspires me beyond just my parents, it's that version of myself. It's that boy that kept showing up, you know, because it took a lot. So that's how I'd answer that question.
Yeah, that's a W answer. Yeah, man. Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
When you make it, it's like you're always grateful for that younger version of yourself. That's what it goes
Yeah.
back to. It's like he built the foundation. And if
Yeah.
a foundation is stable, there's only one person who's responsible for that. If you look at
Yeah.
like your past self, like as a separate person, you'd give him a fat fucking hug, bro. Like,
Completely. You know,
yeah,
I'd be so proud of him. I'm so proud of him. You know,
yeah,
because he had this weird abstract vision in his head that he could become the person I am today. And even when he
mm.
had no friends, no support system, terrible mental health, he was isolated in these wards with cameras in his rooms, no privacy whatsoever, unable to even go outside without staff having to be near him. He kept pushing anyway. He had this weird vision for himself and he made it
Mm.
happen. And I can't thank him enough. And I can't praise him enough for his strength because I'm so proud of the strength it took. And henceforth
Mm.
now, how could I ever look at any of these problems I have in my life now and think they're a problem? Because he
Yeah.
had way bigger problems. He genuinely got ostracized in a way that is almost traumatic for even a grown adult, let alone a 15-year-old that's going through a mental health crisis. You know, but he went through it
Mm.
anyway. And that's why there's no one that truly inspires me more than that version of myself.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna grab my hoodie. I'm gonna.
Of course. Of course, of course.
Okay, so I have another question. This is the last one of these long questions, and I just want to go to rapid fire questions, like 5 minutes. That's it.
Of course, of course.
What's your long term vision for now? What do you want to do in the next few years?
The Undeniable Project is going to be something that I grow into more than just a mentor and a mental boot camp. It's going to be a community. It's going to be a movement. It's going to genuinely be one of the most impactful communities or sense of brotherhoods you can have online. You know, that for me on a
Mm.
business side of things is going to be that. But in regards to my personal life and whatever else, I'll be honest, I'm just going to keep striving towards making the biggest impact I can in the world, helping more versions of that younger version of myself, you know, helping more younger Neos. If you want me to quickly stop, you can put your hoodie on, you're welcome to.
Oh, thanks so much, bro.
Of course, of course.
I was
Okay.
waiting patiently.
It's all right. It's all right. I saw that there. But yeah, you know, I'm going to keep continuing doing what I can to put value into the world and help younger versions of Neos. You know, every single time I get a message, it reinforces that, you know, I'm making an impact in the right direction. I'm going to continue getting more jacked, more muscles. You know, that you can never
Mm.
have enough of that. And I'm just going to keep exploring how I can bring value to the people around me's lives. Once more, you know, I don't do everything that I do because I want loads of nice cars and I want designer and nice watches. Don't be wrong, I do. I'm not sitting here saying I do absolutely
Mm.
everything just for the passion. I'm so passionate about my work. I love getting results, you know, but money's obviously a part of it. But, you know, my mum and dad, they still work so very hard. My little brother, in a few years' time,
Mm.
he's going to be entering his early teenage years. Do you know how fucking cool it's going to be for my brother in 3 years' time to be 12 years old, sat in a supercar that his brother owns, and telling his friends at school, yeah, my brother's
Crazy.
got this. He's going to be like I'm a superhero. So I'm just going to continue working towards being the man I want to be, and I'm going to continue ensuring that the Undeniable Project becomes much more than what it is now. I'm going to ensure that it becomes something that people recognize, people know the name, and I'm going to do everything in my power possible to make that
Mm.
happen.
Yeah. It's it's so crazy when you see someone with a lot of momentum and it just like you can just imagine how far they will get. Um if you take someone like Brett Scales, for example, like when he bought his Corvette, right, it's like a $70,000 car. They thought, oh,
Yeah,
nah, this kid is gonna fall off. And now he has
yeah,
like a $1.3 million car collection so far at 21. And it's like, holy shit! Like it's like the little progress that he had. Everybody was like thinking, like not everybody, he had a lot of haters that said they were gonna fall off. We probably have to. Probably a lot of people don't
yeah,
wish success upon you. You just see
of
like
course.
it just momentum just keeps on
Yeah,
going, man. It's
yeah. I'll
it's
never.
it's crazy, man. Yeah, I know. Like guys like us won't ever stop. But I want to ask you, like, do you have like anything materialistic that you want to work towards? Maybe it's a car, maybe it's a house, maybe it's a watch, maybe it's all three of those, something like that.
Um, a house that is mine, a house that feels like home. You know, when I
Mm.
was when I was younger, to go back to my earlier points once more, my parents split up when I was young. It never really felt like home. Even when I had my own place before coming here, it was a little studio apartment, yeah, but it was in a youth hostel. I couldn't do much to it. I couldn't decorate overly
Mm,
much in the way I wanted it to. Even now, obviously, I'm staying in this place for a few months. It's a lovely place, loads of amenities, but it's not something I can customize. It's not something I can make home. So,
mm.
I would really, above all else, I would, I cars. I would love a Range Rover Evoque or a Range Rover Sport. I think they're beautiful cars,
Yeah.
even if they get stolen a lot in the UK. But what I want more than anything is a house that actually feels like home. It feels like my place. It's something that
Mm,
I can decorate. I can put my personality into. I can potentially look at starting a family with when I'm older. That for me is
mm,
materialistically what I want. Anything else?
mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But let's get into some rapid fire questions. What's the best and worst advice you've ever been given?
Good question. Best advice I've ever been given. My granddad once told me. I asked him if he had one piece of advice within business, and he said, "Follow your passion, your money will come." Worst piece
Mm.
of advice I've ever been given was from this guy, and he was this like guru. I met him in Asia, and he started preaching to me about how he's been coaching for 20 years, and I shouldn't do coaching because quite a lot of the people that are going to be my clients are going to be people that don't listen to my advice, and how
Mm.
he was just trying to warn me. I didn't need him to warn me, didn't want him to
Mm.
warn me, and I've changed many lives. So even if I'd only changed one person's life, that invalidates his point. That was
Yeah.
such a my opinion, that was such a fucking stupid piece of advice. He was just
And
imposing his own on me.
I also think that as a coach, if you can't change someone's beliefs and standards, then you're not a good coach. It's like,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like your job to mold someone into the machine that for success.
yeah,
Now
exactly.
obviously some people are too far gone, but
Yeah,
it's like the type of people that will invest money in themselves are people that actually have hope, that have belief, and they
yeah.
just need help. You know?
I completely agree because it's once more, like, as I said, the undeniable project. We will not just take on anyone, and that's not me just saying that to build sales
Mm,
urgency. That's genuinely the actual truth of it. So
yeah.
it's like for him to give me that advice, it was just so stupid. It was such a stupid piece of advice. It was just like when someone tells you something, you're like, yeah, get that thought out of my head, fuck off.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was like, yeah,
Uh,
you're talking.
it's like someone, but what if you fail? You need a
Yes.
degree to get a job.
Shut up. Shut up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, these they're funny as well. Do you have a favorite quote?
You have to go too far to know how far you can go. Or,
Nah.
or what will be will be. That's one of the tattoos I have here, right?
Mm,
Every single thing that happens in your life will happen no matter what. Everything that
mm,
happens for a reason. What is going to happen in your life is going to happen. Just have patience, chill the fuck out,
mm.
and everything that you ever want in life will come to you.
What's the proudest moment in your life?
Really good question. Um, I would say if I were to try think of one definitive moment, I would be here for a little while. There's probably some specific moments that I could relate back to when I had turning points with my mental health, when I got through rough experiences
Mm,
myself, but that would be a bit too intimate for me to feel comfortable sharing. So what I will share is, as of recently, with my parents seeing this move, with them praising me
mm.
to their friends online on social media, to people they work with, that has made me feel so fucking proud because it's finally proof that over the last 3 years, they
Mm,
didn't really believe in me. They probably thought I was delusional. They probably thought, what the fuck is this kid doing? But now it's proof that they're seeing me, the external world's catching up. That made me feel so proud to see that they see the work that I put in and how much I care about my work. That really mattered to me.
mm. Yeah, I can imagine that. Holy shit. How would you describe yourself using two words?
Intense and compassionate. I say intense
Hmm.
because I'm a very decisive person, right? I'm not someone that's very like on the fence with anything. I'm either one extreme or I'm another. Some people love that. Some people talk to me and they fucking love me. because they love, you know, the type of energy I bring, the personality. Some people don't like that. Some people are repulsed by me, right?
Mm.
And but I'll explain both of these in a second. But compassion, I also, because I've been through so much, and
Mm.
because, you know, I've experienced what it feels like to feel, you know, awful about yourself in many different ways. I've been through so much hardship. I can relate to people a lot easier than most people. But both of these things, because I have ADHD and autism, what this means is the wiring within my brain, I can innately relate to people more. I am innately more intense, you know. So these two things, it's not even just personality traits, it's how I'm wired. So these are so important because it's important for people to understand that if you're around me, I'm not this really like complacent person that's really like on the fence. I don't know, maybe, you know, I kind of like this. No, I'm very intense, this or this. And when I talk about stuff I'm passionate about, I go on and on. And some people take it as lecturing. Some people respect me because they respect my intenseness. They lean
Mm.
into my intenseness. They like it. Compassion side of things. Once more, because of autism, I have a naturally empathetic brain. My brain naturally understands people's emotions, and it pinpoints exact moments when I felt the exact same feeling they feel.
Mm.
So these two things, I would say, sums me up in the best of ways.
Mm. That's an amazing answer, bro. What's next for you, bro? What are you doing? Well, I don't want to say the rest of this year, but that's like just a month and something. What are you doing within the next like year or so?
Consistent momentum and consistent effort towards understanding myself even
Mm.
better than I already do. So right
Mm.
now, you know, the past like week or so, I've been putting an intense amount of effort into actually building up the front end of my business. We've been taking some
Mm.
clients on the back end for a little while now, but I just thought, fuck it, I might as well leverage my social media in any way I can. So in the past week,
Mm.
you know, actually, I think like past 5 days, I've probably done like 10 YouTube videos. I've been posting multiple reels every day, up to 5 stories every single day. You know, I've been doing consistent work on the back end to make it even better, on the front end to try and make the business look even nicer. You know, I've been putting as much effort as I possibly can into scaling the Undeniable project, and to also getting my message out there and getting as much free value as I possibly can out there. So I'm just going to keep that up. And then along the way, I'm going
Mm.
to continuously ensure that I'm taking time to reflect and understand my own brain whenever there's moments where I slip up, or, you know, things don't go to plan, or I get frustrated with myself. I'm going to ensure that I'm continuously reflecting so that I'm not just stagnating and just consistently moving forward at the same pace, but that I'm consistently moving forward and maintaining this momentum
Mm.
whilst also adapting and learning to continuously understand my own brain better than I do.
Holy shit, man! This has been an amazing conversation. You're very good at talking on long conversation, and you should definitely do more podcasts with more entrepreneurs. This is like, yeah, I feel like you have so like it's just the tip of the iceberg. You probably have so much more to give. Definitely when I'm in Southeast Asia sometime in the next couple of years, bro, I want to do a meetup and do this in real life apart due to this. But until then, man, where can people find you?
So Instagram is at Neo Rennie. The undeniable project is the undeniable project.pro. That's where you can book in for a strategy call if you really feel.
Mm.
And then, you know, if you go on YouTube, we have 13 Neo Rennies, the main YouTube channel where you can find vlogs, lifestyle content, whatever else. And we have Neo Rennie EDU, that's the educational videos,
Mm.
podcasts, group coaching calls, whatever else you can possibly need. If anyone wants to ever message me on Instagram, I reply to my DMs all
Mm.
the time.
Yeah.
And likewise, if you have any podcast suggestions or people you think I should speak to, anyone's
Mm.
welcome to drop me a message, forward them, or you yourself, my friend, you're welcome to send them my way.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for taking time to be ready for this. Guys, thanks for watching till the end. Any last message for someone to leave with?
Fuck it, no. Um, the ship is safest in the harbour, but that is not what ships are built for. You must
Holy
force
shit.
yourself to do things that you don't think you can do, and you'll be very surprised at how far you can go.
So surprised you said that quote. A friend of mine, Nico, he always says in his videos, a ship is built in harbor, but that is not what it was made for. That's his quote he says at the end of his videos. It just reminded me of him. So cool that this quote is known by more people. All right.
I'm glad.
Boys, catch you on the next one. Holy shit, bro. This